Good evening. At this time, I call this High Springs City Commission meeting to order. February the 10th, 2022 at 6:30. Please rise for the invocation by Ms. Dowdy, and then following that, we have the Pledge of Allegiance.
The new ones who are being inducted into our city ranks. We pray protection and blessings on our police. We pray blessings on our fire department. We pray blessings on every city worker. And Father, we ask you to bless every elected worker. Father, just take care of the people who serve the citizens of this city as they serve us well. Now, Father, bless each one of us tonight with just a sense of your presence, knowing that you designed the governance in the first place. Help us to govern well to please you. We ask it in Jesus' name. Thank you and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Dowdy. At this time, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Yes, sir. Mayor Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor James.
Here.
Commissioner Ambrose.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
All right, thank you, ma'am. At this time, I entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
At this time, I will make a motion that the amended agenda be approved as printed.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, any questions? And then, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right,
All
at
right,
this,
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, before you go on, can I say one thing?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. I understand that some of you are here with some thoughts of what you might want to say concerning wall dogs, but wall dogs is not an item on the agenda for discussion tonight. The only thing that we are going to do tonight is determine what date and where we will meet to have a workshop on wall dogs. But it's really not for discussion tonight. So if that was what you wanted, I just didn't want you to sit here through the whole meeting because it's the very last thing on the agenda. All right?
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. She's saying if you have anything regarding that you want to say, you can say it during citizens' comments. Thanks.
You're welcome. At this time, presentation, oath of office, minister to the newly hired High Springs police officers. Chief Shepherd.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. We are here for a momentous occasion, the swearing in of new High Springs police officers. The oath of office is a public affirmation of adhering to ethical standards, following the core values of the High Springs Police Department, which is courage, honor, and integrity. An oath is a solemn individual pledge made by a person with the sincere intent to do what is said. I am immensely proud to serve in this profession of law enforcement, where the men and women who wear the uniform, they risk their lives on a daily to save complete strangers. At this time, we'll have Sergeant Taylor introduce the officers.
All right, first officer we're gonna bring up is Officer Parker. School Resource Officer Parker joined the Hot Springs Police Department in July of 2021 after 27 years of serving with the Gainesville Police Department. 14 of those years were spent as a school resource officer at Gainesville Schools. School Resource Officer Parker is currently assigned now to the First Christian Academy. Next officer we're going to bring up is Officer Dwayne Gainey. School Resource Officer Gainey joined the Hot Springs Police Department in March of 2021. School Resource Officer Gainey is presently assigned to the Hot Springs Community School. Officer Lumpkins. School Resource Officer Adrian Lumpkins joined the Hot Springs Police Department in July of 2021. Officer Lumpkins began his law enforcement career in 2002. He has focused most of his career teaching youth to make better choices. School Resource Officer Lumpkins is assigned to the Hot Springs Community School as well. Officer Dampier. Patrol Officer Austin Dampier joined the Hot Springs Police Department in October of 2021. Officer Dampier comes from a law enforcement family where his father, Freddie Dampier, previously served as a police chief for the Lottville Police Department. Officer Dampier has worked in corrections for the Columbia County Sheriff's Office and the Florida Department of Corrections, and he has worked with the Florida Department of Agriculture as well as a state police officer.
Raise your right hand. After me, state your name. I state your name. Solemnly swear. That I am a citizen of the United States of America. And a resident of the state of Florida. That I am duly qualified to hold office. Under the Constitution of the state. And the charter of the city.
And I'm glad to say that we're disproportionately represented by High Springs. So 3 of the 10 staff members are actually High Spring residents, but there's 10 of us total. So that's our staff. And we have 4 goals. The board's decided on 4 main goals for the Children's Trust, and that's to keep children healthy, educated, supported, and safe. And the HESS truck is up there because if you can't remember it, you can think of the acronym HESS, healthy, educated, supported, and safe, and you'll have it. So those are our 4 goals. And I'm not going to click through all of the slides in here, but I did want to tell you that we're special in Alachua County to have this dedicated revenue source. And what we really try to do is invest it as wisely as possible in the context of all of the other investments that are happening in the county for children and families. And really this time with COVID is really unique because there's a lot of other funds coming into our area. We have, of course, all of the normal tax revenues, but there's $33 million coming into the city of Gainesville and another $52 million through ARPA funding. We have an extra $2.5 billion in childcare coming into our state. There's almost $90 million in ESSER funds going to the school district. And then, of course, not to mention everything else that we normally invest in for children, whether it's schools, juvenile justice, child welfare. And so we try to find the best ways to invest those funds to maximize the investments for children. So within our 4 goals, we have about 14 strategies. I won't go through all of them because what I really wanted to do is just hit on a few of the things we've done and then what's coming up, for this year. So the Universal Nurse Home Visiting Program is one of those programs that's available to everyone throughout the county. That was actually started by the Board of County Commissioners, and the Children's Trust picked that program up once it was constituted. Every mom in the county that delivers a baby can receive a visit from a registered nurse to their home to make sure that they get off to a good start, that they have everything they need, that the mom gets to their first wellness, that both mom and the baby get to their first doctor's visits. And there's been a number of occasions where nurses have gone out and moms have issues such as preeclampsia, other things where their life is at risk, and they've been able to get that problem corrected right away. Just this last month, there were 3 mothers identified with preeclampsia that were able to get to the doctor's office and get those problems addressed. So that is one of our signature programs. Last summer, we looked at another gap, and really one of the Children's Trust's first initiatives as a new board was to really put a turbo boost of funding in around the summertime. Because the summertime is where a lot of are out of school, kids have nothing to do. So we invested almost about $700,000, and 1,200 children were able to have places to go from grades K to 12 last summer. High Springs had, I believe, two summer camps. One, I think, was housed in a city property, another over at Deeper Purpose Church. I think 130 kids total from High Springs attended camps throughout the county. And that was a really successful program. The board has authorized $1.1 million for that this year, and we hope to have 2,000 children in summer camps this upcoming summer. So that program went great. There's some participation by city. I think I said 130, 102, directionally correct anyways, from High Springs. Very well received. We got compliments from parents and kids about that. And let me click on, because we got some new things coming up this year. Okay. You can go to our website and click on our program directory and see all the agencies and programs funded. But going forward this year, let me click a few more. Let me go back. Let me skip this PowerPoint because it's not cooperating. If you pull out the annual report, you all have this on your desk. This is probably the easiest way to go through this. And I really don't like PowerPoint. I'm not sure if it's helpful or not, but I just prefer to talk and leave that. So future programs, we have eight new initiatives this year. And all total, we'll invest about $5 million into the community in these new initiatives. Starting from very small programs to very big ones. So last year, the state of Florida had a book delivery program for beginning for kids in kindergarten that are level 1 and 2 readers, where they'll have books delivered to their home. So we decided to start earlier with children 0 to 4. And we have piloted the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So right now it's in selected zip codes, but if it goes well, we hope to be able to expand that throughout the county. So that's the first initiative. Another real problem in the county with childcare, we talk a lot about service delivery and working with kids, but our childcare centers are actually private businesses, and it's been a real challenge to keep them open during the pandemic. And so a lot have gone out of business. They've had problems. They've had problems recruiting workers. They've had problems keeping childcare workers to stay in the industry. So we've gone a little bit, I would say, outside the box, and we're actually bringing some formal business training and capacity building for childcare businesses to the county through the Business Leadership Institute for Early Learning. So that's again a pilot cohort of 15 businesses, but starting this Saturday, they'll be at the Children's Trust, and they'll be there through 4 Saturdays over the next 3 months, and they'll get formal training from people right in our community on real estate, marketing, putting together a business plan, projecting revenues, and they'll get mentored with other childcare owners that have been through the program this year from other cities, because it doesn't exist here in Alachua County, but next time it'll be from Alachua County graduates. And the deliverable for that is a business plan and mentoring through SCORE, which is volunteer business owners that have volunteered to coach businesses. So we're excited to see how that works. And to really, the goal of that is to keep these childcare centers in business and help them get to a $15 minimum wage as quickly as possible so they can recruit the workers they need. And that actually supports some of the quality work that we began the past year. And what we found is that we can't have quality childcare centers without childcare centers. So we're very interested to see how that's going. We're glad that we're partnering with the chamber on that initiative. They're helping us recruit the people that deliver the curriculum for the classes. So down on the bottom left, we'll be able to announce on Monday who was selected to manage the Teens Work Alachua Summer Jobs Program. So we had a lot of programs last summer for kids up through middle school. The Summer Jobs Program will be for youth ages 14 to 18 years old. And the agency selected to manage that will be responsible for recruiting work sites, for recruiting youth to be in the program. They'll have financial training. They'll get soft skills training. They will onboard them through the application process and then coach them in the summer as they work about 8 weeks for 25 hours a week. And programs like that not only give kids job skills, but they've been shown to actually reduce violence. So they have actually 2 purposes. And we hope to employ between 150 and 200 youth this summer through Teens Work Alachua. I already talked about expanding the summer program. And we have 2 other ones that I think would be important for you to know about. One is there's a growing need around some more supports for children with special needs, identifying them earlier and getting them the supports they need. What we're doing is just a first step. There's more work to be done, but we're bringing a program to the county called Help Me Grow, which is designed to identify children ages 0 to 8 that their parents may not be certain if they're developing appropriately at the right levels for their age. They can reach out to Help Me Grow, and they'll get assessed, and then they'll receive care coordination to get the services they need. If for some reason they need help, whether it's literacy or behavior or a number of problems that could happen. And lastly, we don't have all the answers. There's a lot of good ideas out there. And so a lot of times the ideas just come from individual people that would like to try something out. So we've partnered with the Community Foundation and the University of Florida, the city of Gainesville, and hopefully there'll be other contributors, but to partner to work on a program called the Partnership for Reimagining Gainesville. Now I know this is High Springs, but our funding is not just limited to ideas from Gainesville. But if you have a good idea, you can submit it to the Partnership for Reimagining Gainesville. They will essentially vet it. They'll run it through, they'll connect with the proper other connections in the community. And if it's a worthy idea, we'll pilot it. And those are very, very small kind of startup things, but anywhere from a couple $1,000s to maybe $5,000 or $10,000. But that's kind of an incubator program for good ideas around human services. And so these are all new things that we're hoping to bring to the county, and we're really excited. We've been working hard. We know there's more to do, but we appreciate all the support we've received thus far. And we hope to bring more out to High Springs and the rest of the county this year. And I'd be happy to take any questions, but that's all I got right now. So thanks for having me. Anything from anybody? You going to go easy on me? That's always nice.
Yeah. Welcome to High Springs. Now you know the commute that I did for a year.
It's
Thank
great.
you.
I like meeting you in this office rather than your normal office. Smells better in here, but it's good to see you.
Thank you. I sat in on the development for the first year and all the things, and there was a lot of focus in how to do things really that were different and not just, trying to Band-Aid problems. And I really think what's gotten started here, and I see some real changes just in the last year and a half, the team work and the partnership for Reimagining and the ability to vet a pilot program because somebody has a good idea really are good uses of those funds. And I'm happy that you guys supported, some programs out here in High Springs. Some really good results have come from that. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your A for pronouncing my city manager last name. I'll give you an A for that one.
An A for effort. Thank you. I need all the help I can get.
Also, what's the sunset date for this trust fund?
The sunset date is 2030, but we are always, and then we have to go up for reauthorization. Every other Children's Services Council around the state has done good work. We expect to do good work too, and we expect that we'll be well supported come 2030 because we expect to have great results.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
One more question, sir.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
There's more. I'm
Yes.
We'll stay.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
These summer camps, are these their day camps? Are they childcare or specific summer camps that you're talking about here in High Springs?
Yes, we have taken the approach. So we're in the procurement process for summer camps right now.
Mhm.
And we have opened up that to a wide variety of camps. So some of the camps start the first day of summer break.
Mhm.
Let me just say, I don't know what they'll be because we don't have all the responses, but we have allowed people to propose anything that's starts the first day of summer break and goes right up to when school starts, all the way to maybe 1 or 2 week specialty camps, like maybe a week at a museum or a week at an arts place. So there's a wide variety of what you can apply for.
Mhm.
Excuse me. A child care center could apply. An art club could apply. There, we expect a wide variety. Last year we had churches, we had places like the Boys and Girls Club and YMCA and everything in between. So it's wide open is when we use the word summer camp.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Anyone from the audience? And then, again, thank you for coming out on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. And call us anytime if you have any questions. We're always happy to meet any need. See that we can, but we don't know if you don't tell us. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to item number 3, service for the water meter system replacement.
Mayor, may I just give some background before they
Yes.
provide their presentation? The city sent out requests for proposals for water system replacement. Of those, the proposals that came in, we narrowed it down to 2 companies. So Suez is one of them, and they will be presenting to you this evening and at the next commission meeting. The other company that we narrowed it down to will be presenting to you. And the water meter system replacement program is the program where we will be replacing all the meters throughout town, getting better software. It will have many benefits to the community, one of the primary being preventing water loss.
Madam Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. Thottos, thank you all for having us here. Some of you know I'm a Georgia boy, but it's always good to be in the Sunshine State always. No, thank you all for having us today. What we've provided here today is our response to the RFQ for the meter installation solicited recently. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Stephen Calhoun. I've met some of you in the past, some of you I haven't. I'm a water systems consultant. I work for Suez Utility Service Company Incorporated. Also have Andre Noel here with me today. Some of you have met Andre as well. Andre is our director of metering services and revenue management for Suez. So first of all, I'd like to start out by thanking you, the city, for the opportunity to come and present in person our response. Now, especially, I appreciate the opportunity to come and have a face-to-face conversation, especially after everything we've been through the past couple of years. So thank you all for that. I'd next like to thank you all for your existing business. We currently provide the city with asset management on their water tank and have for the past 28 years. So we certainly thank you all for your existing business. So our goal today is to make sure that we clearly communicate and clarify our response to the metering RFQ that we've responded to. I think that as you go through our response, you'll see that we feel like we are best positioned to provide the city what it is seeking. I'd like to commend you all as well for taking that proactive stance on maintaining assets throughout your water and wastewater system and applying that proactive asset management, to your tanks already and seeking to do the same for an AMI system. As Suez, we are uniquely positioned to be able to provide those services. You can go to the next slide. So again, my name's Stephen Calhoun. This is Andre Noel here with us today. For the agenda today, we'll talk a little bit about safety. That is at the core of everything that we do, first and foremost. Talk about our company, exactly what we do, who we are, how long we've been around, all those good things. We'll talk more specifically about the project. We can get as detailed with questioning today as you like, as you wish. Talk about some of the different network solutions that we provided in the past and how we're able to provide asset management. Not only can we implement a turnkey system, an AMI system, but we can also maintain that system top to bottom into the future. Talk a little bit about how we're uniquely positioned in that market to provide those things. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So first and foremost, safety. Safety is ingrained in our culture. Every day, any internal meeting, we always start with safety. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Everybody wants to be able to go home to their families at the end of the day. Safety is important for us. So it's also important for you all as well. We always start any of our meetings with a safety moment. In doing so, that safety culture has infiltrated down all the way to the ground for us. We actually got a call the other day that one of our foremans on site actually asked one of the owners to step off the site because they didn't have a hard hat and safety vest. So safety truly has flowed down and is a part of our DNA. So as Suez, we are uniquely positioned to provide asset management in the AMI space. We've done so. We've applied asset management to water tanks and concrete storage tanks for many, many years. We've done so in the High Springs for many, many years as well. As Suez, we are uniquely positioned in the AMI market. Not only, Suez is the largest owner, operator, and maintainer of AMI systems in the country, in the world, in fact. So we've positioned ourselves in this market to be able to support our customers into the future. This part of the presentation, I'd like to bring up Andre. Andre will kind of get down into explaining exactly how our response is unique to High Springs. And after that, we'll take any questions you guys have. Thank you.
All right, good evening. It's nice to see you all again. Mr. Mayor, Ms. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. As Stephen mentioned, when he talked about safety, what we're really trying to highlight there is the project. We know it's going to be an involved project, but certainly we want to make sure that we're safe in conducting it for us as well as for you. And one of the benefits that you have with Suez is it's all inclusive. You don't worry about the safety of us and the residents when we're taking care of your tanks. I don't think it's ever come up in a board meeting over 29 years. So again, you can see how safety is very, very important. So even for this project that we're talking about, we're going to be bringing that as well, safety, that culture. When it comes to Suez, as Stephen mentioned, we are a very unique company. We're not a manufacturer. We don't manufacture anything. Many of the respondents to your RFQ, they manufacture it. We don't. We are actually unique because not only do we provide solutions, but we also are recipients of those solutions. So each one of the manufacturers, believe it or not, we have their systems. As Stephen mentioned, we are the largest owner, operator, and maintainer of AMI systems in the country. We have everybody's system. So that means we know the good, the bad, and the ugly of all the systems out there. So that means when we present a solution, we only serve your best interests, not the interests of the manufacturer. Because if I represent a manufacturer, guess what solution you're going to get? You're only going to get my solution because I'm the manufacturer. We don't represent anybody. We have all their systems. We use all their systems. So we, based on our experience, based on our know-how, we select the best for you, not what is best for the manufacturer. And that's highlighted here with our value proposition. You don't require engineering, the install, the engineer, manufacturer, because we do it all in-house and we take the risk and the responsibility for it. So today I'm sitting on this side, but tomorrow I'm on your side. I'm responsible for 16 water utilities across the country and all their systems. And so as a result of that, that gives us, that makes us very, very unique because as that, one of the things that we require and one of the things we certainly recognize when it comes to AMI, everybody can provide you with a solution. Everybody can do that all day long. But the question is, will they take care of it after they've sold it to you? And that's what makes us different. Not only are we going to provide you the solution, but our promise to you is we're going to take care of it. We're going to use our own fuel resources, just like we take care of your tank for the last 29 years. And you've never had to worry about it. We're going to do the same here. We're going to take care of your AMI system. We're going to take care of the meters, everything associated with this system. It's going to be our risk and our responsibility. We're going to be the ones held accountable, just like we are for the last 29 years for your tank. We're going to hold on to that responsibility. So that should free up your resources so you can work on higher priority projects and not have to worry about the concerns of running an AMI system, because that's the key. An AMI system is not a plug and play system. It's not a system you can just put in and just forget about it. Someone has to take care of it. And so for the city of High Springs, we selected this system. It's called Aclara. It's the Aclara Star AMI system. And we selected it for a number of reasons. One, it's an open system. In other words, you can use whatever you want. You can use one brand meter for residential, another one for intermediate, another one for commercial, another one for private technology. Use whatever you wish. It's also a licensed technology. In other words, it's a licensed frequency, and the frequency belongs to you. It's yours. It's in your name, which is especially important because there are a lot of concerns with cybersecurity and encryption. And here, the frequency, just like your SCADA, belongs to you. It's also can grow. So if you want to venture off into the world of doing gas or electric or taking on neighboring systems, this system will allow you to grow into taking on those services as well. It's expandable. It's a smart utility foundation. Another thing that's especially important for the residents of the city here, it also has a customer portal. So with this system, all the information from the water meters not only comes here, but also those who have a smartphone can have an app on their phone and they can see their own usage. So now they'll be able to see that, whoa, hold on a minute, why am I using so much water in this today? Something must be going on. And they are now helping you to identify where these unusual water activity or leaks or any type of occurrence may be happening. So that portal will be there. You'll have remote shut-off features. And of course, you'll have the widest compatibility that there is in the industry. So as a reminder, is how the system works. So every water meter we're going to change out, we're going to put a endpoint on each one. From that endpoint, from each endpoint, what will happen is it will read that water meter once an hour and take that information and it will send it to a data collector, which we'll place on top of your water tower. I know a good company that can put it on that tower for you, by the way. They're really good, really good. I'll talk to you after. So that you're going to have the assurance that it's going to be done right when it's placed on your tower. And then from that tower, we're going to use a backhaul like Ethernet or cellular, and we're going to send all that information here. And so now you're going to be able to see hourly information from every water meter in the system. That means I can start seeing unusual water activity. Whoa, somebody's been using water constantly for 3 days straight. Or, whoa, hold on a minute. You know, why all of a sudden this water meter, there's no registration whatsoever. So we're going to be monitoring that along with you, and we're going to be taking care of that. But the residents now will have that information so that they will never, ever get surprised with a water bill that they weren't aware of. I mean, how many of us have ever got a water bill that says, whoa, I've never used all that water? That's never happened here, right? Yeah, many times. Well, with this system, that no longer happens, because you'll be able to proactively let them know, whoa, I see water's been running for X number of days. You may, in fact, have a leak. You may want to send them an email, send them a text, put a door hanger, have somebody drop by. If they have their app, they'll be able to see it on their app that, whoa, I'm using a considerable amount of water. And that's especially important because many of us don't budget, you know, $200, $500, $1,000. I had a customer a while back, their water bill, because they bill quarterly, was $6,000. Needless to say, that was a challenge in paying that bill. So again, the benefit of this system will take care of that for you. And so with this transmitter, we're going to attach it to every one of the water meters. And of course, that will send the information to the data collector. And it too is encrypted. It's also got 96 days of hourly read. So if your system was to go dark for whatever reason, the system is solar powered. So all the information will still come here, and the data collectors still have all the information, so it will backfill. This is what one of the data collectors look like. And again, we're going to place them either on your water tower or we'll put them on a 30-foot pole. And again, all the information from these endpoints will be coming here, and then from there, they will go to the cloud. And for those that are out there, way out in the extreme of the system that you don't want to drive a long distance to, this system has the ability to do remote shutoff. So sometimes someone has paid a bill and you've shut their water off and you want to be able to turn it on. You can now turn it on remotely if you wish. And so that saves you from having to dispatch resources to have to do a shutoff or a move in or a move out. You can now do it all from here or from any device that is communicating with the system. The other way. More. Back. Yeah, there we go. And so this is what the analytics look, and I believe we've introduced the city to the analytics. But again, this is what it's going to look like. This is one of the dashboards that you will see, and you can see those pins. Those pins represent the water meters, the actual locations. We're going to GPS locate them. So you can go down and have a look, but the colors are identifying, whoa, blue, you know what, everything is good. Red, hold on a minute, what's going on here? And there's some considerable usage. And so as a result of that, now we can say, let's give them a call. Let's find out what's going on, because if we allow this to continue, they're going to get a bill at the end of the month that they're not going to be happy with. And so now, as part of customer service, we now feel as part of the solution. We also did a propagation study for you to show you how we're going to lay out the system, the number of data collectors associated with it, and how we're going to place it across the city. One thing is you're growing, right? So you have a big system. So we're going to be placing 8 data collectors across the system. And again, that's going to provide you with full coverage. In fact, it's going to have 99.8% double redundancy and 83% triple redundancy. What that means is if a data collector was to go down for whatever reason, you're still going to get 99% of the reads. That gives us time as SUEZ to come in, get that data collector back online, and you're back up and running. And again, as highlighted, we are responsible for the system. So we're going to make sure that it's up and running and it's running at peak capacity so that you can bill monthly. And for your water meter, we are the largest purchaser, we're the second largest purchaser of water meters in the country. So we have access to all the water meters. Today, I believe you use Neptune. And if you wish to continue using Neptune, we're more than happy to provide that as a meter. If you wish to use any other brands or you want to mix it up, the choice is yours. And that's, again, one of the benefits of SUEZ, because it doesn't matter. We're agnostic when it comes to the solution and to the technology. We just simply select the best for you. And with these meters, including Neptune, there's a lot of special features. And with this Aclara system, we'll be able to bring all those special features to you as well. As part of the response, we also provided a financial justification. You don't see this very often in a response, but we wanted to provide you with this because, again, it's a big expense, to a city. And we wanted to make sure and to show you that this project is financially cost justifiable. We were able to take the potential revenue you could see as a result of replacing the water meters, and then the operational savings as a result of not having to go out and read meters anymore. And we plotted that here in the response. You can see that there. And again, we showed that the annual financial benefit between the OPEX and the revenue from the meters, if I'm looking at that correctly, I think it's a little over 460,000 a year. And here we plotted it to show you what the accumulated cash flow over time would be. And if our assumptions are too aggressive, we plotted it down below as to what it would look like, even with a 5% or a 7% increase in revenue from the meters only. This is certainly important to realize that I have my utility hat on now. As a utility, as a city, we spend a lot of money on the capital side. And one of the questions that always comes back is, well, how on earth are you going to pay for this? What justifies this? Well, this is one of the few projects that you will ever enter into where it actually pays for itself, because we're actually changing out the water meters. Because the water meters have been there quite some time, we know that over time they slow down. They don't perform as well as they do. So, but of course, by changing out those water meters, they're going to be certainly accurate, and you will certainly see the benefit of that. We also, in the proposal, we put a timeline to show you what the responsibilities of each one, so you can see that there truly is a team associated with doing this work, from the process owner to the contract manager, to the expert, to the initializer, to the implementation manager, and the asset management expert. And you can see we've plotted out exactly how we plan on doing this from start to finish. We also provided you with a plan from the initiation to the implementation to the operation maintenance and the timeline for that. And you can see that the project completion we anticipate is going to be 9 to 12 months from the completion of the billing interface. So we got to get the billing interface done because, of course, once we change out the meters, you need to be able to bill immediately. But once that interface is done, it should be 9 to 12 months completion. As part of our solution, we also take responsibility for the integration to your billing software. So we're going to take that responsibility. Too many companies, they will do their part, and then they rely on you to do your part. Again, because we have these systems, because we have many of these in operation, we understand the complexities of doing an interface. So we take the risk and responsibility for that interface, and we're going to complete both sides. We will work directly with your CIS vendor, do that interface so that, again, so that when we install that first meter, you'll be able to bill immediately. So whether it's the customer portal, whether it's CIS, whether it's any of your systems, we'll be doing the interface associated with that. Now, this slide I put in here really just to highlight, not necessarily today, but tomorrow. As your city grows, your needs are going to grow, your needs are going to change. And you may be asking more to say, boy, I wish there's some of these other things we could do, like leak detection, methane detection. Can I start putting my street lights? Can I start putting my parking meters? I'm already doing that up in New Jersey with our systems. So this system allows you to start doing a lot of creative things you probably never thought about. And so this system will grow as your needs grow. And that's what we really wanted to highlight here. And here are some of the, in fact, some of the sensors. In fact, I believe in our package to you, I think we're also doing the zone scan leak detection. So again, leak detection, pressure monitoring, sewer monitoring, methane detection, and the list goes on and on and on. And this system will allow you to take advantage of any one of these sensors and more as your needs require. As we stated in our proposal, our promise to you is to take care of this asset, namely your meters and your AMI system. We're not just going to provide you with our solution, we're also going to take care of it. We're going to use our resources to take care of that system every day so that it never comes up in council and says, hey, what's going on with those meters? What's going on with that system? Because just like the water tower have been taken care of for the last 29 years, we're going to be doing the same here. So this just highlights all the things that we're going to be responsible for and more for the next 15 years, in fact. So with that, I just wanted to highlight really what makes us different, why Suez as compared to any other company. One, Stephen mentioned that earlier, was the fact that when it comes to asset management, asset maintenance, we're the only company that really excels at it. In fact, we're recognized not only here in North America, but around the world for the promise of taking care of any solution that we provide. And that asset maintenance, that not only applies to High Springs over the last 29 years, but it applies to some others as well. So these are the customers here that we take care of when it comes to asset maintenance. So again, so the list when it comes to asset maintenance here is extensive. And so with that, you have the confidence of knowing that we'll be able to take care of you as well. So why Suez? We're a user customer. We're a leader when it comes to asset management. We certainly have the financial strength. We're a $21 billion company, so we certainly have the financial strength. We're brand agnostic, so we'll select the best solution for you, not what's best for the manufacturer. And we certainly have the teams, the resources to handle and take on any type of project, especially yours. We also provide the asset maintenance program. We're going to take care of this system for 15 years. The reason why 15 years is because after 15 years, it's time to change out the water meters. And the endpoints that are on attached, their battery life is only 10 plus a prorated 10 after that. Our promise to you is to take it for a full 15. And so that's our responsibility. So prior to that, when we get to, if I'm still here, which I don't think, I'll be retired again for the second time. Don't try to think of calling me back, but I'll retire for the second time. But somebody about the 12th or 13th year will come in and we'll talk to you and say, well, it's time to look at these meters, time to change out these endpoints. How would you like us to do? Because we've been maintaining everything, the software, the data collectors. And so we know that's still going to be good, but it's time to just change out the meters. And we'll have that discussion with you then. Single source of responsibility and accountability. We say it in our industry, one throat to choke. You know, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody, but there's only, there's one source of responsibility and accountability. You don't have to worry, oh, call somebody for this meter, call somebody for the endpoint, call somebody for this. No, you just call us. And again, we take care of it. And we proactively do it because we're going to be monitoring your system every day, providing you with notifications as well. and also sending information to our service centers to come out and take care of the system. Another reason why Suez is the conformance to your RFP qualifications. So looking at your RFP, there was a set of qualifications, and this is to show you how we stacked up against those qualifications. So you can see that we met and or exceeded those qualifications. Also, we are the only company that is ISO 9001 certified for asset maintenance. You're going to have companies that say, yeah, I'm ISO 9001, sure, but they are for making a meter or making a data collector or making some product. But ask them, are they ISO 9001 certified to deliver asset maintenance? In other words, not only providing the solution, but the promise to take care of it. Are you certified to take care of those solutions? And we are. And as you can see with our certificate, we're certified to provide asset maintenance programs for municipal and industrial water distribution systems and rehabilitation services. That is unique. And as you can see, as you saw from the picture of all the asset maintenance accounts that we had, you can see that it's well earned. The other thing that we bring to the table that's also unique, we talked about how everything, one source of responsibility and accountability. We are also a licensed engineering company. We're also a licensed engineer. So when it comes to your tanks, any considerations, any concerns, that's why we also have you covered, because we also have the licensed engineering resources in-house. So whether it's putting anything on that tank, structural analysis, certified welders, inspectors, OSHA trained and certifications, we all have that in-house, and we apply that to your tanks, and we're going to be applying that to your system as well. We're also a licensed contractor. So again, we'll be able to provide those services as well, and that benefit. We're also recognized for safety and experience. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but here the National Council on Compensation Insurance is recognize our company for our safety standards. And again, that is important, especially since we're going to be here for a little while in taking care of installing this system. You want to make sure that the company that you select certainly meets and or exceeds all safety standards. It goes hand in hand with our value proposition to be the one point of contact and to take 100% responsibility. The right solution simplified. So our promise to you is to be your single source of responsibility and accountability, take full responsibility for your AMI system, to deliver the best in class, to take care of it for you, to provide the project management and IT expertise, to provide the best technology products and services, and as needed, provide spread payment options to make it financially affordable. Overall, to deliver an AMI solution to the city of High Springs that will make you proud. So as I like to say, when Suez Utility Service Company Inc. provides a solution, we don't move out. As you notice from your tank, we move in. All right, thank you. Any questions?
May I please? You say that the older meters slow down, which makes sense. So would people be able to expect that when there's a more accurate reading that their utility bill will go up? Yes,
Because they're certainly getting the benefit of an older meter that has slowed down. It's like the analogy I like to use, like your car, like a car. When you buy it, it's very fuel efficient. But as you put a lot more miles, 10,000, 100,000 miles, you don't get the fuel efficiency as you got before. So same what's going on with the water meters. The water meters are slowing down. So as a result of that, it's not capturing accurately all the usage that in fact is taking place.
With implementation, I assume that it would be staggered. Would it be possible for the initial implementation to be to municipal structures only, so that perhaps the city could bear the brunt of kinks worked out in the beginning that might minimize agita for residents?
Sure. So the way it typically rolls out, the meters are the last, are right at the very end. So what we do is we stand up the network, we do the interface to your billing, and we get that started first. So we don't do anything until all that is done. We're also going to do some site surveys. We're going to take a look at all the installations, make sure what's actually out there, So there's not minimize the disruption, see what type of piping, see what kind of lids that you have there. So we're going to do a site survey and you'll have the benefit of that as well. And so once we set up the network, once we do the interface, we put the software in, we're going to put a sample, maybe put one at your home so you can try it out. And we'll, usually, believe it or not, that's usually who we start with is right here. So you can see the benefit of the system. And so we'll do a sample and then make sure everything is working. And then once everybody feels comfortable, that's when we do the rollout of all the meters.
Okay, so the on-off function, for instance, on the meters, it's triggered by the radio frequency that's licensed to the city. So what, and I understood there's a coded protocol and everything else, but cybersecurity is an issue and maintenance. What really is going to potentially stop someone from hacking the system, either through the city or wherever, and turn off everybody's water?
Well, turning off your water is only capable if it is equipped with the remote valve. So if it's not equipped, you can't shut anybody off. So you will determine who has the remote. And again, you don't have to do it today. You can add it at any time. In our case, we had a situation where in one area we had schools where students coming in and out. So we wanted that functionality. We had other areas where unfortunately they,
Okay, so I misunderstood. I thought that would be in all of them. So I get it. So if you had an apartment complex or a rental home or you frequently went on vacation, you might do that because it was a convenience or a municipal building or a park area that freezes.
That's right.
You might want to be able to turn off that water. Okay, I got it. And then
if I may add, one of the things that's also unique about the remote shut off that we're providing with this system, you can attach it to any up to 2-inch and any manufacturer of meter. Most of the manufacturers out there, they're limited in size to one particular meter and they can't do it for any other brand. Here, you can do it to any meter that's in your system up to 2-inch.
Okay. And then the last question, and I always just ask this because, everyone likes to see, money back guarantee. You use the phrase guaranteed system performance. Okay. And you've got a good track record. You have a great track record with us. It's probably not an issue. But what really is the guarantee? Like if you didn't perform, if something really failed, you got a bunch of bad parts and we had all kinds of problems when they got installed, what's the guarantee?
The guarantee is you fire us. You for the last 29 years, your contract with us has been one-sided. We can't cancel with you, but you can fire us any day that you want. And the same with this contract here. You fire us anytime that you like. That's what we expect if we're not living up to the expectations. But believe it or not, I know somebody beside me, we're going to do our utmost. We've been a customer of yours for 29 years and we want to be a customer for another 29 years. Yeah, it's a fantastic feature. In fact, in Suez, that's the #1 reason we placed AMI in our utilities was to provide customer service. Our customer service was reacting all the time. When the bills were coming out, the phone calls that we're getting was, whoa, I didn't use all this water. But they only had one piece of information, only one meter read to try to help, the resident. And unfortunately, they were always reacting. But now that they have this hourly information, they are proactively helping customers every day and letting them know about their usage, letting them know that we're going to send somebody out to see what may be going on. And of course, in fact, I think I mentioned the last time I was here, but we put a system in Bayonne, New Jersey, 7 years ago. And with that AMI system to date, we have received over 4,000 letters from our customers saying thank you for their billing notifications. So my question I always like to ask is, how many letters have you received?
Forget about that thing. If I start using too much water, so it's gonna send me an alert saying, you don't move.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is a number of things will happen. With the app on your phone, you're going to set up a water budget.
Okay.
So it'll say, okay, you know what? I spend $50 a month on water. Well, it's going to send you a notification says, you know what? You're 1 day into the month and use up 50% of your budget. Whoa, something's wrong. In addition to that, the system will send up here to customer service and they will show up, just like we showed you on that chart, an icon will pop up and say, whoa, someone's using a lot of water continuously. Let's see what's going on. Maybe track it for a few days because maybe you have a pool. So let's track it for a few days to see what may be going on. And then from there, they will send you an email, send you a text, give you a call, put a door hanger, and let you know that we've noticed some unusual water activity. You may give you some ideas as to what to look for, so that, of course, you're not surprised at the end of the month with a large water bill.
Right. So, and then you said, so now some of the older meters around town. So will we have to replace all the meters?
Yes. Yeah, all of your meters are of the age where they need to be replaced. AWWA, American Water Works Association, recommends that meters, they say typically meters that are 10 years of age are losing 6 to 7% accuracy. So once you reach that age, it's time to start looking at changing them.
So I guess this is a question for Rodney or somebody back there. So the newer meters, what's the newest meters we have in town right now? So how long have they been out there?
It's been older. The resident normally calls away.
Yeah, but I mean, the question is, what's the oldest, I guess they ain't new meters, what's the oldest new meters we have out there that we don't put in? How long they been in the ground? 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? So.
Yeah.
But they're not all.
So one of the issues is that there were 2 different meters put throughout the city, and that's a long historical discussion. One of the meters, the one that has the most new meters, we sent to a third party to have tested, and they weren't reading accurately. So basically, the resident was getting the benefit from them not reading accurately, not the city. But so one of the brands that was chosen, we don't feel like is best for our city moving forward of the newer ones. And that's why we are recommending to change them all. So we have a system that with all the same meters and that we can work with going forward so that it's not a piecemeal system where we're one side of the city's acting this way, another side of the city's acting this way. It just gets very confusing. And so that's our recommendation.
In addition to that, we also take responsibility for the accuracy of the meter. So if the meter is not performing, that's our responsibility to replace that meter. So that's also our response. So over that time period, you're going to have accurate meters.
Okay. So then I'm trying to think out the box here. Like the new homes coming in. So once we find out we're going to start doing this, we're going to start alerting them, say, okay, you need to start putting these meters in instead of them putting that old whatever meter in, and then we'll go snatch them out again when we get started with the system.
Absolutely. As soon as we found out what was going on with that meter, we switched back to the one that had more accuracy. So if for any reason, we're looking at that one and another one. But as soon as the final decision is made, immediately the new homes will get that meter. That's the one we'll be ordering.
Okay. All right. Any other questions up here? I have seen a hand out in the audience.
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, come on to the mic and give us your name just for the record.
My name is Ann Carter. I live at 2.
You ain't gotta give your address.
Okay. My question is, do I understand correctly that this company is a water meter system replacement? In other words, how about the quality of our water? That's what I'm interested in. I just recently, yesterday, had my, I've lived here 18 years. I've used the water for about 2 years. I became very sick. I started using bottled water, and the remaining 17 years or 16 years I've used bottled water. And I just got out of the hospital. It's killing me. And so I put in a system to filter the entire house, everything from water to our drink. And it is marvelous. Yesterday they finished, and at 7 o'clock, they told me to run the water in my bathtub for an hour. This morning, when I got up, my bathtub looked like a creek. There was so much chlorine in the water. There was so much junk in the water. We need to do something about that.
If you can give us your name, address, or just name and phone number, there's a form to fill out, then we can look into your individual circumstance and get back with you.
Our water's been checked, and now I've got a new system. I don't.
Hi, my name is Monica White. I just have a question about, as the homeowner, what does the installation process look like for me? Like, how is it going to affect my property? And how often is the data being sent from the water meter to whatever is being used? How many minutes are you sending that information?
Okay, from a property owner, you probably won't even recognize we're there. We're going to knock on your door if you're in close proximity to the water meter. If you're there, we're going to let you know that we're going to be changing out the water meter. Typically, it's in your front yard. From there, all we have to do is shut off the curb stop. And then from there, we will just, we'll break open the couplings and we'll install that new meter. And from there, turn that back on. So you'll immediately have water use.
I'm a little scared with the fiber optic. I wasn't sure if there was something.
No, we're not going to touch the fiber optic. It's a little too costly if you've messed with a fiber optic line. So we are, yeah. So yeah. And did you have another part of your question?
How often is it sending data?
Okay, so the data, the endpoint reads your water meter every hour, and then from there it sends it over to the data collector every 6 hours.
Thank you, dear. My question is, I thank you that you're going to make it all operate well and keep good records. But the question I have is, will it improve the quality of the water we have? I know so many people who their pipes stop up with carbon. I have to clean my faucets almost every other day. The rim around my commode has to be cleaned with carbon deposits. And so I too had to have a drinking water system put in. So I'm concerned, will any of this help the quality of the water? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So this project will not impact the quality of the water, either more positive or negative. It's just a system that the water passes through and they calculate it and to determine your usage. So on, I think we need to look into why you're having water quality issues, and knowing where you live can help us, go out there, look at the line, see what's going on. It may need to be flushed or any number of things. Okay. But if you are interested, we would love at my office to be able to contact you and learn more what's going on. Yes. If you could give the city clerk your name and number, our office would love to contact you and find out more what's going on and look into it further. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? All right, seeing no one rising. No one else up here? Thank you, sir, for your presentation on tonight. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip back to Georgia, buddy. The next time you climb the tower, let me know. I'm gonna come climbing with you. Where are we? Okay, number 4, a presentation about proposed subdivision, Fairfield Oaks.
Mayor, I'd like to introduce Kim Fisher. She's with Sycor Engineering, and she's representing the developer who would like to develop a subdivision named Fairfield Oaks, and it's north of 441 and just east of the United Methodist Church. And so she'll be presenting to you the proposed development just to get direction and feedback to help her go back and further refine the development and move forward possibly. We have been working on a development agreement together, and I feel very good about it so far.
Good evening,
Good evening.
council members, mayor. It is freezing in here.
That's it. I agree.
My name is Kim Fisher. I'm from Sycor Engineering. Oops. I come before you tonight to ask for your consideration and support for an exciting project that we have the opportunity to embark on with a well-rooted local family, the Foresters. They're in the audience. I affectionately refer to the site as the radio station tower site, but it is located along the north side of 441 as you're coming from 75 will be on your right. My team is working with the Forester family to potentially develop a new residential community to accommodate new growth and demand while ensuring the community represents the historic character of High Springs. As outlined in the city's 2040 comprehensive development plan, this new community will help promote a diversity of housing type and density and will help provide a variety of new and desirable style choices that appeal to residents of all ages and life circumstances. We understand the need to make this community functionally compatible with the historic character of High Springs, and we strive to make this a neighborhood an additional source of pride to the citizens living in High Springs. As you are all likely aware, there is a lot of planning that goes into the design of a neighborhood. We meet with the local staff, we examine surrounding developments, and we look closely at neighboring communities. We also review zoning code and closely consider your stated vision for the city's future. We review housing trends, affordability, and housing options. Historically, within High Springs, lot sizes were large because there was no access to public water and public sewer. Larger lots make installing public sewer economically unfeasible and would necessitate using septic tanks. The Department of Health mandates septic rules and requirements, and we've all heard stories about affecting your neighbor's well, and we all know the septic tank, what it does to the environment. But now with the expansion of city utilities, the question isn't, are we going to grow, but rather how can we grow thoughtfully? You and your staff have drafted a comprehensive development plan, and we strongly believe the proposed community aligns very closely with High Springs' stated goals. We come to you with a vision that I am excited to share, a vision for you to consider, a vision of creating a new and vibrant neighborhood, not just another subdivision. We propose the creation of a neighborhood that will exceed city standards, a healthy neighborhood, a neighborhood designed to create a sense of home and community identity, a neighborhood that encourages social interaction, walking, biking, and connectivity. But it also goes deeper, as the community infrastructure is also a key consideration. As with any new neighborhood, streets should discourage cut-through traffic, and public improvements should be installed to keep the streets safe. We plan to incorporate gutters, curbing, sidewalks, landscaping, and street lighting. Sidewalks on both sides, for the record. When it comes to planning a new community, there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. A city such as High Springs has both a rural area and an urban area. Future residents want a variety of housing options from which to choose and an attractive environment in which to live. Design standards provide the specific guidelines for the design of the physical improvements in a community. Standards are developed for the purpose of protecting the public health and safety, preserving natural resources, and achieving community aesthetic goals. All of these design elements are key and have all been closely considered as we plan the proposed community. Developers' agreements are key. Instead of following straight zoning, we're proposing the community be considered as a planned development. Why? Because the city can require a developer's agreement that is to be recorded and allows both sides to specify design standards. Typically, with a planned development, these standards are mutually negotiated and agreed upon. We have spent countless hours working with your staff and numerous iterations of conceptual plans. Some of the elements in a well-executed developer's agreement are lot sizes, architectural elements, open space requirements, buffers, street standards, and mandatory homeowners associations. One key element of the planned development is the inclusion of these architectural elements. Why are architectural elements so important? Regardless of lot size, if architectural standards are not defined, then there is a risk that the houses within a community are cookie cutter. Each house can look stylistically similar, with the only variance being paint color. I'm sure we have all seen this. This will not be the case in the proposed community, exactly because of the developer's agreement, which will include the architectural elements. While it may sound obvious, it is very possible that a house located on a 40-foot wide lot can have the same square footage or design of a house located on a 100-foot wide lot. For the record, we're not here for 40-foot wide lots. I'm just giving you an example, but we are not here for 40-foot wide lots. The difference is typically related to the space between the houses between a 40-foot and a 100-foot. The houses themselves, regardless of lot size, can still look like a cardboard box or a two-story cardboard box. I have spent time exploring this city, and there are a few things, in my opinion, no offense to anybody, might be considered a learning opportunity. I have listened to some of your previous commission hearings and have all heard you all speak on the topic of lot sizes very loudly, very clearly. I have also researched some of the built-out subdivisions in the city where it was not so much, in my opinion, not so much the width of the lot, but the depth of the lot. I saw some of these houses that were less than 90 foot wide, 90 foot deep. I'm going to just call it a learning opportunity. I'm not sure how you would have a pool or a swing set, or if you have a dog, a place to poop. I'm not really sure how these houses function. One of the things in our subdivision is we are going to be proposing 115-foot minimum lot depth. So you will have a functional front yard setback, a functional rear yard setback, and you will have plenty of place to put a swing set or to put a pool or just to have play area for your dogs. Lot sizes are important for a variety of reasons. We all know that the cost of construction has gone up tremendously as of late. The cost of building streets, the cost of public utilities, the cost of the actual house materials, especially lumber, have all risen and are hard to find, especially when it comes to lumber and trusses. The house may be the same, but the lot cost will, as an example, can potentially double. So if you've got, just for instance, a 50-foot wide lot and a 100-foot wide lot, the cost of that street construction is doubled for the 100-foot wide lot. It's twice as much sidewalk, twice as much asphalt, twice as much curbing and gutter. Quite frankly, the High Springs community needs more affordable homes that the teachers and firefighters can live in, the retirees and postal workers can call home, and a place where grown children raised in the community can return and purchase a home of their own. A place where the first-time home buyer can let their children outside to play and make friends. The buyer has spoken loud and clear, and when a community sells out quickly, it is because the neighborhood has identified the perfect balance between what the homeowner wants and what they can afford. I want to state publicly on the record that Ashley, as sweet as she looks, she has a really clear vision of what the citizens want and what the council wants. And she's been very mindful trying to grow the city. She's been very tough and very fair. She has kicked out her plans numerous times and told us to do better. With this high standard but reasonable approach, I believe we are very close to making her happy, I hope. While we don't have things completely finalized at this time, I do want to highlight a few key improvements that we've been working on together. We've got 50-foot landscape buffer along 441, streets with curb and gutter on both sides, sidewalks on both sides, a 10-foot perimeter natural buffer, mitigation of any trees removed, planting of a minimum of 1 tree in the front yard of each lot, a playground area, and architectural elements. Each house will be required to have a certain minimum number that they can choose from that we will work on together to come up with. Lot sizes are not the enemy. Again, we're not proposing 40-foot wide lots, but the enemy is lack of planning. Our proposed project is along US Highway 441, a well-traveled road. We are next to vacant but commercially zoned property. We are not a property in the rural area. We are hoping in the future the commercially zoned property can become townhomes, can become apartments, can give more of a variety for the city. Smaller lot sizes in multifamily developments are suited along major corridors typically. Smaller lot sizes is great for public utilities. Utility extensions are cost prohibitive for larger lots. The city went after a grant to increase the size of the wastewater plant to accommodate this growth. Smaller lots can be incorporated successfully into a planned development. Smaller lots are affordable, and backyards that can accommodate pools and swing sets for kids. I do a lot of work in City of Sanford, so I'm going to use City of Sanford as my little test here. City of Sanford requires architectural elements. They give you a list and you have to choose, I believe it's a minimum of 3. I went through a few of the subdivisions that I've worked on, and I've got some pictures here from 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. I think the lot sizes that are 70s will be pretty obvious, but I wanted them all to be in the same city, so I didn't go to a wealthier city for some pictures and maybe not so wealthy of a city for the other pictures. So I kind of kept it all to the same. And most of them are newer subdivisions with houses under construction. So you may see some construction in the background. So I'm just going to go through these quickly. I wrote the name of the subdivision, so I'll know exactly what lot size they are. In conclusion, we are excited to move forward with the city, and we truly believe this project will help the city meet the needs by diversifying the city's housing stock, as well as helping to establish a new standard for planned developments. I am here to answer any questions, and I'm going to say it again. We are not proposing 40-foot wide lots.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
So some of these homes are 40-foot lots.
Do you
obviously.
want to guess, or do you want me to tell you?
Well, no, I think Ryan knows this one.
There's more than one. There's more than one.
Oh, yeah, there's several of them.
No, actually not.
The
I think
first
there's,
one.
no, the first one is not. Let me go through. Can we get back?
No, it's what's on a corner.
Do you want to go? Do you want to do it, or? That's a 70,
Mm-hmm.
70, 70. The last three should have been obvious. Kensington Preserve is 40.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kensington Preserve. Parkview is 40.
Mm-hmm.
Kensington again. Pulte is a 50. Village C is also a 50. Riverside Oaks, and that's more of a street. I just wanted to show kind of the cross section that we would be using, where you've got sanitary in the middle and you've got curbing and sidewalks on both sides. But Riverside Oaks is 60. 60. Rosecrest is 60. Hanover is 50. I think the next one's also same subdivision. That's a 50 as well. I did cheat. The 2 stories were 40 foot, but in that subdivision, they maybe have 10% that are single story when they're 40-foot wide lot, and the rest are mostly 2-story homes.
So we're looking at 50-foot minimum is what you're looking at.
We've kind of been working with Ashley. We kind of took a different approach and did the perimeter at 60 and then the internals 50. So anytime it's up against 441, any of our boundaries would be the larger lots, and then inside that you can only see from inside would be the 50-foot wides.
How many homes are you proposing?
Approximately 120.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, 120 homes on how many acres?
It's about 30, a little over 32 acres.
32 acres. And can I ask, why is it that it seems to me that there could be a real need for a mixed use development where you had 100-foot lots? Because I'm kind of stuck on 100 by 100 being about a quarter an acre.
Mm-hmm.
And then have part of it be townhomes so that I think those could be more affordable than a 40-foot lot with a single family home for a single mother or something. Perhaps they could buy
Sure.
a townhome instead.
Sure, it's a great question. So normally townhomes come a little later. and I'm going to digress a little bit. I called somebody I know that does apartments, and I said, like, I know when housing comes, I know the trend of housing comes, and then your retail will come to support the rooftops. I said, when does apartments come in? Is it after commercial? And the answer was yes. Apartments come, rooftops go first, then your commercial corridor for retail to service the rooftops, then comes apartments. Townhomes are in between. So townhomes, they're a great product. They sell for much less, so they are affordable. It's way more dense. So with this zoning, you've got a density of 1 to 4. Whenever you try to get a density of 4 lots per acre, usually you're looking at a 50-foot wide, sometimes a 55-foot wide, but anywhere between 50 and a 60-foot product is the only way you can get 4 per acre, because you have to deduct out the streets, you have to deduct out stormwater, you have to deduct out open space, any amenities. You're going to be left with a 50 to a 60-foot wide lot. Townhomes is for more of a medium density instead of a low density residential. 100-foot wide lots, there's no reason to improve water and sewer. So the cost is so much higher to do a 100-foot wide lot. The builders, you're going to have, you as the end user for the home, you're going to be paying double for that lot because it costs double to construct that lot. So the street truly is, if we compare just a 50 and 100-foot wide lot, the street construction cost is double. The water main extension is double. The sewer main extension is double. Force main, gravity main, all of your stormwater, it's double. And it's no longer affordable. There's great places for them, but when you want a starter home and an affordable home, it's not on a 100-foot wide lot. That's not what's affordable. Then you're back to doing septic and potentially well. If water, a lot of times you'll have the water, but they won't do the sewer because most of your sewer is going to come with the lift station. Lift stations are incredibly expensive to do. And then with the gravity sewer main will come the force main and then probably jack and boring across 441. So it gets really, really expensive. All of those costs go into the cost of the home itself. And 100-foot wide is, I honestly have never done a subdivision in a 100-foot wide lot. And I heard you at the last, I heard you loud and clear at the last commission that you brought your tape measure, but
I didn't bring it tonight.
But to get it affordable, so any of the subdivisions that usually are 70-foot or bigger, they're much bigger homes. You're starting in the $700,000 range. You're not starting in, dare I say, the high 200s. I'm not even sure high 200s is attainable anymore. But for lack of a starter home, is going to be in the low 300s. We want to get in the high 200s, but the cost of everything has substantially gone up in the last couple of years. So then 100-foot wide lot, there's a great place for that, just like there's a great place for 40-foot wide lots. This just isn't the place.
Respectfully, I guess I would disagree because High Springs is about open spaces. And the more impervious surface we cover with, the more likely we are to have sinkholes. And God knows we have sinkholes here. And if there's nowhere for the water to filter through naturally, what's going to happen? You know, with 40-foot wide lots or 50-foot wide lots.
Sure. And I didn't mean to say High Springs. I meant to say this piece of property. This piece of property along your 441 corridor is where you can be more urbanized. This is where apartments are better suited. This is where townhomes are actually better suited. The density can be maintained along the 441 corridor. Getting further back, no way. No way. I wouldn't even attempt a project like this, getting into the rural area. But 441, you have a lot of growth going on in Alachua, Newberry. Do you want everybody to just drive by your city to get to Lake City or Fort White, or do you want them here? Because the traffic is there, people are passing by. We've got to capture that. And the only way to capture that is to be affordable.
and you don't see having townhomes as a mix in there to be possible? Because that's one thing that people have told me we're really missing out on here.
Oh, and I've been told that too, and I would love to do townhomes. Not ready yet, in my opinion. Townhomes, you're going to have, people are going to go for the starter homes first, and then townhomes, as you get more dense, and then you start doing a mix of product types, then you'll get into townhomes. And then typically after townhomes, then will come the apartments. But to do townhomes in front of single family, no. I know Alachua is, City of Alachua by 75 is going to have some townhomes going in also, and mixed developments are great. I mean, they're over 100 acres though. We're at 30 something acres. So we don't have a big enough subdivision to do both single family and townhomes. But next door, and I might have showed you a conceptual plan with.
Yeah, you did. You said you want to see how this property went, and then if you could, then you get the other property and then potentially do townhomes. That's what
We're potentially looking at the property next door, lovely family, to do townhomes and then reserve a section for apartments. High Springs isn't ready for apartments yet, but to reserve that in the future for a townhome development. I think it could be sustainable, and then leave a big section. I think it was maybe 10 acres of the tract for future 5 to 10 years out for apartments.
And I've written design standards for multifamily.
And multifamily, I think the rule of thumb is it normally sells for about $50,000 less than the single family starter homes do. And I think I think the next door doing a larger project with a mixed development. I know 30 acres may sound large, but it's actually not. 30 acres is still pretty small. It's attainable. And the property next door, I don't remember. I know they had several parcels of land, but the one that we've been in communication with them, I think, was about 60 acres. So it was much larger.
Hi there. Thanks
Hello.
for your presentation.
Thank you.
I looked through it last night and made some notes and thoughts. The first thing I want to say is I'm surprised to hear you say that we're not ready for apartments and townhomes. In High Springs, we have occupancy rates in our apartment complex that are generally the highest in Alachua County. The Spring Hill development right next to the school is an example of that. And when the other ones, we don't have enough apartments available because people are coming through High Springs and they would rather not be going to Lake City and out to Fort White and other places. But they're traveling and working in the area and they can't find housing. It's a constant thing. So I would really question that assessment that houses have to come first. There's tremendous building. I am around new developments that are going up, particularly in Newberry, all the time. And last year, there was one new development that had been going up the previous year. The first major storm event came through, and in the retention ponds, the sinkholes that opened up were big enough to take Volkswagens. And they had to mitigate that. So it really needs to be taken into account. We have some of the most fragile karst terrain in the entire county on our city. So density and water handling is very, very important. And to concentrate it into retention ponds doesn't work really well here. Just it's a geological fact for that. So in the photos you showed, especially on the smaller lots, one of the things that's really common for builders, they're doing it in Newberry, the different developers, is you drive up in your driveway, that's because the slab has been elevated. And that what there actually is a ditch between the homes. And that's not usable flat space. And a lot of that collects water at times. And so basically you've got a ditch between the houses that are part of the water handling issue. And I've seen backyards where that was part of the design across multiple homes where there's a ditch back there to help the water flow. And the homeowner goes, well, why is this dip in my backyard? I'm just going to fill it in. And then suddenly the whole development has an issue because somebody's filled in a dip in their backyard. So I like what you say about character and the development, but, and the photo of the streets you showed, on these developments that are going around here. I was at one in Jacksonville recently. Obviously the ones in Newberry. If you go in the evening, a lot of people just go during the day, but if you go in the evening and people have parked on the street, it becomes this zigzag to get through the communities. And I think anything you bring back to the commission should have streets wide enough where we're not in a situation where people are having to zigzag to get through the community. And that the sidewalks be wide enough. I mean, we have developments here where they put in sidewalks, but, two people can't pass each other on the sidewalk. It's so narrow. So, the quality of life, I think, needs to be reflected. So being able to market that it has a front porch, but if the front porch is 3 foot deep, that's pretty much non-usable. You're not going to be out with your neighbors walking and see your neighbors sitting on their front porch. What are we doing to create a sense of community that's present in a lot of the other neighborhoods, including the core downtown, but in some of the other areas. So those architectural elements that encourage people to interact and not just fence off their backyards and live in their own little world, I think kind of helps create that sense of community. If there are any mature trees on the property, particularly along any of the old property lines, that 10-foot buffer you've talked about might not be enough. And maybe it's worth designing around that so that those older trees can be kept. And if there's an older property line through that area, maybe that could be a great center of a boulevard or something so that those trees don't have to be clear cut. And again, that would help create something that's very different than what's going on with simple clear cutting and massive building and primarily, you talk about costs, in utilities, what's really cheap are a bunch of straight streets with square corners. And that's pretty boring. And people said they don't want us to look like South Florida. So there's a part of me that is like, well, if we can't build something that really looks unique for the community, I'm willing to wait until it's financially viable for someone to do that. But I really, if you're going to do a planned development, the idea of somehow incorporating apartments or townhomes in that plan would be more attractive and maybe give you the density that makes it financially viable to do some larger lots or some of these other elements I've talked about in there. So.
Sure. Thank you for your feedback. Apartments. I'm not an apartment expert, so I reached out to the apartment builders and they did what they do. They do their analysis. And granted, I did it on the property next door. They came back. I shopped it to two. They both came back and said no, that there wasn't. I know as a community, you might think that there's a need, but as an overall community, there wasn't enough need for the apartments yet. I think it's going to have a lot more growth. I'm not an apartment expert, but I did take it to two. And that is what I was told was apartments aren't warranted.
Where I'm coming from is I worked with a property management firm here in town. Mm-hmm. And I actually just talked to a gentleman today that's taking over management of the Spring Hill area apartments. We've consistently not had rental things available. And the thing I'd say is, I don't know where that data came from, where they said we're not ready. Because if you just look at High Springs sits at the corner of 3 counties. So if you just look at data based on governmental boundaries, it doesn't really represent the people that live in and around High Springs. And so when you skew that and do a lot of those things manually, it suddenly, we look like a very different community than what people, and the traffic counts are something that says, I mean, for a community our size, we shouldn't have the traffic counts we do.
Yeah.
but we do.
And they are, and a lot of them are passing by, and we want them to stop here. I wanted to talk a little bit about your ditches on the side of your property lines. The FHA sets forth requirements on lot grading. We basically have 3 different types of lot gradings that the FHA supports, which is an A, B, or C, and I'm not going to bore you with the details because then we get into modified A, Bs, and but the swales are necessary on the side lot yards. Now, what other communities, which you have the benefit of utilizing information from other communities, it's very important to put an easement. A good example within Sanford is some places it's a 3-foot, some places it's a 5-foot easement for exactly the purpose you said, so that the homeowner doesn't go out. And we try to share it on the lot line. So the bottom of the swale is on the lot line, and you don't want one neighbor disrupting the flow of the water because you want that water to either get to the street or get to the back, depending on how you design it. So a way to combat that is to put easements over it, and it's in your HOA doc so that, you know, someone doesn't want to make it prettier, but they're supposed to be relatively shallow. As far as the street width, that's a tough one. If you make a street too wide, it's going to increase the speed. If you make it too narrow, then people are zigzagging around cars. No matter what, cars are going to park on the side. Unfortunately, there's never a good answer. Honestly, I've seen it both ways, and the speed that people will go through for some unknown reason. I don't know what TV show they're missing, but it does encourage them to go faster instead of slower. And we do want them to go slower. The trees, we agree with you. We'll be working closely with Ashley on the trees, on the perimeter buffer, not clear cutting. We will do what we can there. But the product that we're going after at this time is detached single family homes. We're not going after a medium density multifamily. Apartments need to be commercially zoned. This property is not in the future land use to be commercial, and it's not in the future land use to even be medium density. So we are trying to provide the single detached family homes that hopefully will be affordable. Not hopefully, they'll be as affordable can be with this crazy market that we're in, which is, as soon as I hear something that tops a list of craziness, something else happens. I've got a project that can't find 10-inch water main pipe. It's just, if it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not that they can't find appliances, it's with the utility infrastructure. It's with the base material for the roads. It's every day it's something new. Right now is the trusses. Nobody can seem to get trusses. So it's a crazy, crazy times right now. And getting those starter homes is really key. You definitely need more variety here. And I'm not a fan when I saw streets without curbing. I'm not a fan when, for the record, I used to work government. I've worked with 3 different governments before, so I do have a government hat, even though I work with developers as an engineer. I've gone back and forth. I'm just going to say there's opportunities to be learned. I saw some things that my eyebrows went up, and, you know, Ashley and I talked about it with making sure you've got design specs and then making sure it's inspected, because you can build a road all day long, but is it going to last 3 years? Is it going to last 20 years? If we don't know what kind of thickness is under that asphalt or how thick the asphalt itself is, then they're going to degrade really, really quickly. You've got to have good retention areas, and we don't want deep retention areas because of the sensitive karst. We'd rather long, linear, shallower ponds instead of anything deep. The shallower and the more linear it is, the better it is in sensitive karst areas. Deeper will work all day long, but that runs the risk. For sure.
Ross, to your question, or to your comment about the cars parking in the streets, I guess I haven't seen that. Maybe I haven't been to any subdivisions. It seems like the HOA could control that. I know in our area, you're not even allowed to park on the grass. We have long driveways, but you can't park on the grass. You have to park in the driveway, and you certainly don't park on the street. So I guess I was just surprised about that. Is that common?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And honestly, it's common no matter what size street it is. I live on a street that's wider, and it's encouraging everybody to park in the asphalt. So, but I drive through narrower streets, and I don't know a good way to combat that one. If you get really, really strict in your HOA covenants, then you've got some enforcement, because the police, I'm not even sure the police will enforce that.
Police, it would be the HOA.
No. I'm saying when neighbors call the police, that's not going to be the enforcing entity, nor do they want to receive the phone calls. The HOA, you can put it in your docs. We're also going to be proposing a 25-foot minimum setback. So that gives you, this is after the sidewalk, before your garage door. Because if you're like me, your garage is so full of junk that you haven't used in at least 6 years that you can't fit a car in your garage. And so I've seen subdivisions, and especially townhome communities, it drives me nuts when there's 10 to 15 feet between that garage door and the right of way, which is pretty much the demarcation of the sidewalk. And the vehicles are overhanging into the sidewalk. They can be ticketed. They do it anyway. Drives me bonkers. That's bad planning. There's no other excuse but bad planning. You've got to have 20 feet minimum. I like 25 because people are getting bigger and bigger trucks. And worse driving, and you don't want to hit your garage. So nobody's going to park 3 inches from that garage door. They need space there. So I personally like 25 feet. But they need space to park, and then they get kids, and then their cars are everywhere.
And then I'm going to agree with the two on my left here. Apartments, you see it on social media, you see it, people talking together. Apartments, where can we find even a home to rent? Constantly, you hear that for High Springs. So I understand what you're saying, what the experts are saying, but those who want to live in High Springs would have something different to say.
It's coming. And remember, apartments, you're going to be looking at 300 units in one shot. Can they fill 50 to 75 on day one? Probably, but they're also looking, and I don't want to speak for apartment, people, because I don't do apartments. But it's a bigger unit count. And with this property specifically, I mean, we're still exploring it with next door, but this property is not zoned for commercial.
I understand. I'm not trying to convince you about your property, but we collectively, probably down here as well, think that apartments.
If I can get an apartment end user, I think the parcel next door, that's much larger and zone commercial. I thought that was perfect. I don't want to say the names. I fell in love with her on the phone. I think her and I just, I think we were raised in the same wine bottle together or something. I don't know, but I'm sure people here know exactly who I'm talking about. But I thought that was, the zoning is in place. And so I did shop it. I don't represent them. It was just, an opportunity, a great piece of land. But I didn't have the interest yet.
Okay, thank you.
And one thing we might want to do is get our own kind of economic feasibility study on apartments, and that the city, we go out and pay for ourselves if we're that interested in it, because a lot of times they use different kind of data software and stuff, and it kind of is just the same old thing. They start with the census, and we all know COVID was kind of going on during that time, and they grow from there. So areas that are growing very fast, what they're pulling up on their data isn't always the most current information. It doesn't give the full picture of what's going on. And so if you hire people that do economics for a living for cities and that look at these things, and they produce reports that then you can give to people that then they can say, oh, I didn't know this is going on, and here are the numbers. So, I mean, they're not cheap. staff can look into the cost of them if y'all would want us to, but that's one of the things that we did in other cities for when we wanted them. So.
I'm probably in agreement with everybody else. I thought somewhere down the line, 2 apartments would be a positive thing for us. Because you find a lot of times that there are people that come through that are looking for apartment type living. And I was under the impression that it would be a good way to go too. I was the first I've heard of it.
Me too. And like I said, since I never did apartments, I didn't know when they came into the mix. And, I learned too that they typically come in, you start with rooftops and then comes the commercial and they come in after commercial. And so they're paying a lot more because they come in after commercial. So the apartments are paying top dollar for land because they can absorb it. But whenever you come after that, commercial infrastructure is in place is when apartments come.
And we would expect, and I think y'all would want us to expect the amenities are in normal apartment complexes, like a pool. A lot of them have potential dog parks, and some of them even have business centers, like for y'all to have that discussion and that we get something that's a sustainable apartment complex. So.
Rodney, help me out. So is sewer on that side of the road?
This side,
On the side they're talking about building?
no, there's no water or sewer.
There's not water over there?
I don't know exactly.
There's not water?
Yes, there is water.
Okay, I couldn't say, yeah. Okay, but no sewer over there yet.
We'll be extending the sewer.
Okay, that's good. That will be my next question. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, they just want to discuss it and they're gonna bring it back.
Yes, I mean, if y'all want to talk to me, separately or in the meeting or just have some time to think about it, but, staff does need to have a little bit of direction on the lot sizes. So that we know the bigger the better, but still, due to affordable housing and it's near commercial, what would you be okay with, in High Springs in a development such as this? I do feel like this is the most I've gotten as far as like a lifestyle type development, as far as someone working with me on the entryways, making it something special, kind of understanding what we're looking for, so I'm not worried about any of that. And being agreeable to the developer agreement and thinking that, it is a normal development agreement that people typically do these things. No pushback on that at all. But there is, it's not going to be it wouldn't be a 10,000 square foot lot subdivision by any means. And so I will be probably talking to y'all about some more feedback after you've had time to digest the discussion tonight. And I'll probably be calling y'all or something like that, just so. But I know that this has been a sip from a fire hydrant.
This has been what?
A sip from a fire hydrant. It's been a lot of information tonight that they need to think about.
Sorry, I hadn't heard that phrase.
Oh, maybe there's since I lived in Texas, I have these things I say that people go, not my first rodeo.
We know that
one.
Okay. So basically looking at the 40-foot front, 40 foot.
No 40s.
I mean, that's in my mind, the 40-foot. Y'all heard my conversation online, I'm quite sure. So you're thinking the 60 up front, 60-foot lots, and then before you get in, 50-foot lot. That's what here.
60-foot wide lots up front and around the perimeter.
Okay.
So only internal. So it's kind of a transition. So only, and it's a much smaller percentage. So only internal would there be 50s? So working with Ashley, that was kind of where we kind of landed on. If we were going to do a mix of 50s and 60s, it's like, okay, let's make this transitional. And in doing a smaller lot, that's where we get back all of these amenities. That's where we get to do the buffer, to do the entryway, to provide a landscape along 441, to require trees and trying to preserve some of the characteristic of the area. That's the trade-off. That's the beauty of a developer's agreement, is there's kind of a give and a take with a developer's agreement. And Ashley's like, I want this, I want this, I want this. We're like, okay, let's consider this. The architectural elements I find to be incredibly a big priority, because the last thing any of us want is the cardboard box, or better yet, a 2-story cardboard box. We've all seen them. They're not very pretty. That is, if you don't require those architectural elements, the builder is going to do the cheapest thing they possibly can. And so putting in architectural elements that are a requirement, especially when you do the bump ins and bump outs, it gives it some character, and putting some brick on there and having some facades. We've come up, I don't know how many, but we've been putting our heads together and coming up with a list, and then they have to choose like 4 of these. So, and that's kind of what the pictures I had showed you that City of Sanford does as well. I believe theirs is 3, and they've got to pick 3, and then there's still a whole list of things that they can't do, just so that they have character. And they even have that, either side of you can't be the same elevation. So they've done, and the bad part of that is it's taxing on the staff, because then the staff has to constantly keep a map to know what's on either side of you. So the downside is what it does to staff. And I'm always going to support staff, because I've been there, and it's an arduous task, but that it's also a very good product at the end of the day, so that your next door neighbor and you don't look alike.
Yeah, we put that in there, that across from you, beside you, catty corner, it can't be the same elevation, and it can't be close. Like, it has to be significantly different. As far as the colors, the same way. And not only the 3, we put the 4 architectural design elements, and there were certain things that we even said you have to have. Like, they weren't even a choice, that you just have to do these certain things. No one should have to move into their home and then purchase lights for the outside of their house. So the certain things like that. So,
and that's a safety concern.
It is.
Frankly,
yeah,
that's a safety issue.
Yeah, and that's going to be my next question for design. Definitely different design. I hate for Glory to have the same design house I go to. My grandbaby get lost and go to Glory's house because it look the same.
Or when your child enters the wrong house because it looks the same. So, I wish I could have taken a video, and I just took these pictures yesterday, by the way, and I'm an awful photographer. So I went out yesterday taking to neighborhoods. I should have taken some videos so that you can see how different they are, because some of them have stone, some of them have brick, some of them just have the foam facades to give it some separation. The paint colors, of course, it is very interesting. Some of them have shutters, some of them don't, all in one neighborhood. Okay. So it's nice to see the differences. I don't like to look at a cookie cutter. They look awful. Yes. And when you don't have codes, and when you don't have a developer's agreement, that's what you get.
And I wanted to add something else on the drainage, is that I've worked for cities where we require a drainage survey for more dense subdivisions after the building of the home, because you obviously have the drainage plans when the construction documents come forward for the whole subdivision, but dirt is moved around when you put a home on the site. And so what might look like it's positive flow isn't always positive flow. So we would require a drainage survey. So with the swells, we will require a drainage survey, and we can put that in the development agreement so that we can make sure that there's positive flow. It's not hard, and they can do that at the building department level. They can check that on every single house.
I can raise you one.
What?
So a lot of builders, and again, we all learn
Yeah,
from lessons of the
right.
past. You know, we designed the four corners. We put the proposed grade on the four corners. So the builders will come in and they'll do all of the grading in the rear of the property and then make the rest of the lot flat. And then so you have standing water. When you do, and there are more and more communities starting to require exactly what you're asking for, make them not do the four corners, because it could be the entire slope positive is in the rear 20 feet and the rest of it's flat. You've got to have them also do the middles.
Can I hire Kim to like look at my developer agreement and, and give me pointers? No, okay, I will. That's a great idea.
We
And
see that all the time.
yeah.
All the time.
And we, I worked in cities where we've managed the, different homes, making sure that, so there's systems for that. And, the architectural design elements, like when they come in, plan review, like we circle every single one. If they don't have it, that's sent back. And so I just will let you know, the builders will complain. This is taking so long at the city of High Springs. Okay. But if they do what we want them to do and they're supposed to do from the beginning, it won't. So I just want you to know, as these things are implemented, there will be pushback from the builders and negativity, but the result will be so much better for the community.
And I think, not to interrupt you, I think one thing we talked about is they don't always like to read. Let's be frank. Is the builder going to come and read the developer's agreement? Probably not. We started putting all of the developer agreement requirements on the cover sheet. Now they no longer have an excuse. It's right there in print. You didn't have to go. We all have a set of the construction plans. We've been placing it on the cover sheet. And the whining effect goes down tremendously.
That's a good idea. I never thought of doing that. So
Right there in front of them.
we would have a check sheet though, the check sheet.
Yeah.
So, but that's even better.
And for the drainage surveys, and at the end, the other communities have been, again, this is just kind of started. I only know 3 places doing it right now. We just, as the engineer of record, I just have to sign a letter. I've looked at the as-built, compared to my plans. It either substantially matches or it doesn't. And so for you guys, it's a checklist. Do you have your signed and sealed letter from the engineer for final lot design?
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy from a staff perspective.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, finish up here? Okay.
Can I ask one question? Has anybody approached the folks at the United Methodist Church for input?
Well, I think the idea was we wanted to get information right now from y'all, because we didn't want to start getting people stirred up if y'all weren't even, if y'all just came in, no, like then we, okay,
So I shouldn't bring my measuring tape to the church?
No, that's okay. We can do we can have a measuring tape party, because like I do that too. So.
Okay. I think it's a hand back here.
Plot plan, when they draw that out, they have a slab height elevation and they have to certify that. So my suggestion is that we include that landscaping into it. Go out and do the inspection, the surveyor certifies how high the slab is, so we can add to it in the developer's agreement. They do the landscape also, or the landfall. So, and it covers the city. You're putting it on somebody's survey and it providing you with something certified, saying that it meets that.
Can you send that to me in writing? Thank you.
Yeah, we set forth a minimum finished floor for every single lot, along with the 4 corners lot grading. If it's a B lot where part of it goes to the street and part of it goes to the rear, we then have middle points, the high point. And finished floor has to be on, that's the basis of everything, but those are on it's an as-built survey that the surveyor will come at the end of them. So you see that the finished floor, it coincides with the design finished floor as well as the lot grading. I'm not sure about landscaping. We'd have to discuss.
I'm more or less saying the grade, but
Okay.
I have to certify that slab height, so why not have that added to it?
Agreed.
That we can put the responsibility.
Absolutely.
Anyone else on the audience? Questions? And see what the city manager, and we'll see what we can come up with. Look forward to working with y'all. All right. Okay, at this time, number 5, a proclamation declaring February as National African American Month. It's Mike. Item number 5, a proclamation declaring February as National African American Month. You have it?
You want me to read it, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. I thought you were reading it. I don't have a copy of it.
I don't have a copy neither, I don't think.
Okay, I'll give you a copy.
In here?
I tore mine all apart. Okay.
Whereas the city of High Springs proudly celebrates National African American History Month and acknowledges these events in our country, both tragic and triumphant, as they share history of all Americans. And whereas the history of African Americans and the struggle against slavery, segregation, and racism is central to the story of this nation's unending quest to live up to its founding principles. And whereas we seek to honor the enormous contributions of African Americans to the freedom, prosperity, and cultural richness of our nation. And whereas we recognize that such contributions have all too often been overlooked by history. And whereas African Americans have bravely fought and died for this nation in all of its wars, even when they were deemed unfit to serve in the same units as the white countrymen. And whereas courageous men and women such as Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, and Sojourner Truth spoke and acted against the tyranny of slavery. And whereas in response to brutal, systematic, and ongoing racial discrimination, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., Thurgood Marshall, and other great American patriots carried out a new struggle for civil rights a full century after the abolition of slavery. And whereas African Americans have contributed to the political landscape of this nation, having served on city commissions within state legislatures, within the United States Congress, and office of the President of the United States, with the inauguration of our 44th President, Barack Obama. Now, therefore, I, Byron D. Williams, Mayor of the City of High Springs, by the authority vested in me, hereby proclaim February 2022 as National African American Month in the City of High Springs, Florida, and I urge the citizens to join me in the celebration of the diversity and character of our community and highlight the importance of sharing our culture, customs, and traditions with those around us.
Unfinished business. Item number 6. I have a button over there that turn me on. Unfinished business. Item number 6, discuss and consider act on ordinance 2022-01.
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to read this by title only. It's ordinance number 2022-01, an ordinance to the City Commission for the City of High Springs, Florida, amending Article 7 of the Land Development Code regarding home occupations, providing for home-based business regulations consistent with Florida statutes, providing for enforcement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And this is second reading of the home-based business ordinance, which just brings our code into compliance with Florida statute 559.955.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, it's your pleasure. Yes, ma'am.
I think we pretty much covered this at the last meeting. As I mentioned to one of our representatives up in Tallahassee the other day when we were up there, that when I first saw this, I was so shocked, when I saw the title of it, but they have given us ways to be able to maintain the integrity of our neighborhoods and not have flourishing, unwanted businesses in our neighborhoods. So I am in favor of passing it.
Any other comment?
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that ordinance 2022-01 be approved.
Second that.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion. Anyone from the audience? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk? Yes.
Vice Mayor James,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Motion carries. This time, citizen requests and comments for issues not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record, and you don't have to give your address because I don't want nobody to come to your house.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. The last time I was here was concerning my water. So happened you talking about water meters tonight. My water bill this month is $104.04. I would like for you to take a look at my last month and this month and let me know what's going on. I'm not home half of the time. I'm out of town. And if anybody bought a washing machine, you know, they don't put but just a little bit of water in there. So I would like to know what's happening.
Okay, so if you can give your name and telephone, okay, you have it. Okay, we will look into it. Probably be Monday and try to figure out what's going on and maybe have someone come out there and see if there's a leak or anything like that as well.
Would you like me to leave this call? My bill is paid.
We should have all that information already. So I don't think we need it.
Okay, my name is Doris Wright.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I just have a couple of questions. Number one, do we have a code enforcement officer for our city?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell me his name or her name?
Her name is April, and Chief Shepherd, if you direct your issues to the chief, he can make sure that she looks into any of your issues.
Okay. Next question, how do I get an item on the city agenda?
You have to request it to the city clerk, and it doesn't necessarily mean you will get it on the agenda. Then the city manager makes the decision whether it will go.
So who should I?
Give it to Jenny, right there.
Jenny?
She's the city clerk, and then we will look into it and say if it's something we will put on the agenda or not.
And I want to thank Draylene for making it a little warmer in here.
What else?
I'm sorry to be so crippled tonight. I have two questions. One, do we have someone working on a new water tower? When I hear that we're having more developments coming into the community, I'm very concerned. Do we have adequate water? And then secondly, into adequate amount of water to accommodate new residential areas. How will we know when we can get the water to where it is not so poorly qualified to be water in our community? Then a third question I would like to ask is there any plan at all to look at the infrastructure of our streets in High Springs? When you come into the community, we have so many government paid road entries, state, county, etc. But when you get into the residential areas, the older residential areas, some of those roads, if you don't know it, just traveling at a very small speed, you'll drop off in a pit. If you want a perfect example, just go to the corner of the subway across from First Baptist Church. Instead of turning into Subway, turn right, go in front of First Christian Academy. That road is despicable. And what they do once a month is put in dirt and put a little black stuff over the top of it. And by the next month, it's all washed away and they do it again. That's a waste of city money. If we had a plan whereby we began properly repaving our city streets, that would be of tremendous value to the people who live here and who come back here, who have generational families living here. 5, 6, 7 generations stay here. And they've seen their city streets go down so badly. You don't notice it if you're in some of the newer areas, but you go into the residential areas of people who've been here a long time. And I would like to just simply make a positive suggestion that we could form a committee, a citizen committee. Our people could take it if you wanted something extra on your plate, but I didn't think you would. But to form a committee to drive through all these precious communities. We're talking about making new communities for new people. Let's take care of our older communities. And they can make a committee, prioritize the areas that needed streets paved properly, and then do them systematically. That would make perfect sense. It wouldn't overstrain the budget. It would cost a lot of money, yes, but the citizens of High Springs, I believe, are worth that money. We are the ones that pay the taxes along with you. And so we would like to see that tax money benefit all the citizens, and particularly in the areas where the streets are so very poor. Children can't even walk across them sometimes. They're dangerous. So we would just like to ask you to be thinking about that. And I would be glad to serve on a committee like that, to be going out and driving through. I have to tell you, I would be prejudiced. I would go to the corner of FBC, First Christian Academy, since that happens to be my home church and my home school. But thank you very much for letting me speak this.
Would you like me to respond? I can answer. So currently we have Florida Rural Water finishing up a water master plan for us. So the water master plan will list all the CIP projects and rank them, including a new water tower. Right now we have enough water capacity for the growth that's coming in. However, if any of these larger developments come in, then as they come in, we are evaluating if they trip the need based on the number of homes, if we need another tower and where it would go. So we definitely are on top of that. On the roads, we are obviously definitely aware of the problem. I drive on them too, and I go through the older neighborhoods as well. So one of our first steps towards that end is we have a new employee coming on, and one of their number one things that they are going to be working on is a plan for the roads. So this employee has worked on them in other cities. They will be, we do not have a ton of money sitting there right now for roads. We need to go out and get grants and figure out other ways to fund them. Is what we really need to be doing right now. And this employee has received grants, a substantial amount of money for grants. So it does cost a lot to do a road. As far as the assessment, the employee will be working with other employees on a roadway condition assessment. It's actually very technical in nature, ranking the roads, and it's based on a number of factors, the condition, how many cars travel on it, a variety of things, how old it is, all of that. So, and then you have to determine whether it needs to be completely reconstructed or just overlaid. So there's a lot of things to consider. So that is one of the number one things they will be doing.
Thank you for that good report, that there's so many things that you are working toward. Appreciate hearing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing nobody rising, we'll move on to new business. Item number 7, discuss, consider act on ordinance 2022-02.
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to read that by title only.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
It's ordinance number 2022-02, an ordinance of the City of High Springs, Florida, amending the official zoning map of the City of High Springs Land Development Code as amended, relating to the rezoning of more than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application Z 21-03 by the property owner of said lands, providing for rezoning from R1 residential to C3 commercial of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of High Springs, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Mayor, I have a short presentation on this, very short, that I can give if you're okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so the applicant and owner of this parcel is Fellowship Church. So obviously it's the Fellowship Church location. I don't think I need to tell anyone where that is. So it's 20.38 give or take acres. The building on it, it's already built on obviously 25,000 give or take square feet. The current use is a church and the proposed use would be a medical office facility. The current zoning is R1. So R1 basically is half to 1 acre homes, home sites. Obviously, I don't know how much that really matters since there's already a building on the property. The requested zoning is C3, which is the commercial zoning that's related to activities that need to be close to a highway that have access for vehicles that are going to need travel. Future land use is mixed use, which the C3 zoning is compatible with. And as you can see, there is mixed use land use, sorry. There is mixed use land use, right next to it. To the north, south, and east, the green is county. So there's little pockets of county all around it. And so, the request is to turn the R1 to C3. As you can see, to the west is a parcel that's C3. It was just rezoned C3 this past year. To the north, south, and east is county agriculture. And there is a little piece to the north that is also C3. But once you jump over the county agriculture to the east, you'll see that that is C3 as well. So C3 is kind of what's going on in the area. And so that's about it. The request just is to change to C3 so medical office can go into the Fellowship Church space.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, commissioners. Any questions?
I have no issues or questions.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, you ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I move we go ahead and pass ordinance 2022-02 as read by title.
Oh,
Second.
did we need a public hearing? I think we need a public hearing since it's a zoning ordinance. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Sorry, I always forget second reading here. I've been other places where we only have one reading, so sorry.
Okay.
Did you?
I seconded.
Oh, okay.
Okay, okay.
Yes, you did.
All right. Any other? Any comments from commissioners? If I go to the audience? Anyone from the audience? All right, and none. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor James,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. All right, thank you. Motion carries. All right. Number 8, discuss and consider act on real property surplus property donation agreement between High Springs and the Neighborhood Housing Development Corporation.
Mayor, I don't have a long presentation, but I do have a slide I wanted to show you that just shows the parcels. Again, you've seen it, but I just want to show it again. Okay, so this is a continuation of the vacant property thing. It kind of seems like it just goes on and on because there's a lot of steps of disposing of the vacant of donating, not disposing of the vacant property. So previously we had brought a resolution to y'all to declare the vacant properties, which are the ones on the map, surplus. And so by surplus, what it means is that it would serve a better, it's not serving a public purpose, and it was serve a better public purpose by getting rid of it and giving it to someone else to do something with. So in this case, the Housing Corporation would like to, they picked 3 properties that they would like to take, and those properties are the ones in red on the map. And they want to do obviously affordable housing on them, and they have agreed to to go ahead and build it within 3 years. But I think they actually want to start in the next year. But the agreement says 3, and mainly the previous agreement said 2, but we extended it to 3 because of the issue with getting materials. And that's why we were agreeable to the 3 years. So because that's an issue for them as well, which is impacting the rate at which they build. But, and so this would basically be the last step before we go to closing now, is approving this agreement. And just to go back, the blue ones, just to talk about those were ones that we wanted for a lift station site, or they were unbuildable because of sinkholes. And then the next item is the ones that Habitat is interested in. But we have done all the steps in the process. We've advertised everything.
All right. Commissioners? Any discussion? Let's do it. I'm telling a motion.
I move we declare the 2 properties listed as surplus.
Oh, no, this is to approve the,
Yes, that's the one. Well, but
to approve, I'm sorry, the last one time you did the resolution approving the surplus. This one is to approve the agreement.
Okay.
With the.
I move we approve the agreement for these 2 properties with the Neighborhood Housing Development Corporation.
Thank you.
I second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. I think you say 2? It's 3.
Or 3, yes.
Okay, you're welcome. Getting too late, I guess.
Too many numbers.
Did we get a second?
Second.
I did it already.
Oh, did she already do it? Okay.
Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Anyone from the audience? Okay, hearing none. Commissioners. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Same here for Alachua Habitat and Humanity. Plus, which is 2. Any discussion?
I think it's one and the same that we've already discussed and
Yeah.
approved the ordinance.
I'm happy to again make a motion for 2 parcels and the agreement with the Alachua Habitat for Humanity be approved.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Anyone from the audience? And now, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item number 10, discuss and act on setting a future date for a workshop to discuss the Waldo's event. Any discussion? Only thing I say, we do it soon, let's make sure we do it at the Civic Center instead of here at the, instead of doing it at the City Hall. We have more space out there at the Civic Center.
Is there anyone here from Waldogs who could propose a date, or should we just propose a date?
So there was something from Sharon that she wanted read into the record. Oh, did you? Oh, she did. I think she's interrupted us. Can I get that really quickly?
Sure.
Sorry, I apologize. Y'all can go ahead and. Are you sure? Okay.
I mean, would it be appropriate to do that before a commission meeting, or it should be a standalone?
So I think what's going on so far is at the last meeting, obviously y'all discussed wanting to have a workshop date, correct? And so, I talked to representatives of Wall Dogs. They are open. I think, obviously, you'll know more when Jenny reads, Sharon Yeago's letter. They definitely do want to work with the city. I think from what I'm understanding, I feel weird like talking about, if I get any of this wrong, let me know. So from what I understand, like that they want action on the previous items from the last meeting, because since the workshop was requested, they feel like there wasn't action really taken on the John Dieterman mural, as well as, the event permit, since it was, let's have the workshop. So, and as you know, the event is around the corner. I think they are willing to do things associated with it on private property. So they are allowed to do anything they want on private property. We cannot control that. They have requested to rent the Santa Fe room, and they are allowed to utilize it just like any other nonprofit. So that's what I know so far. So what we need to know is, are you going to continue to request a workshop meeting? And so when would you like to request that it be done? And what would be the request as far as the discussion in the workshop meeting? Would you just want to discuss the two items from the previous meeting, or is it going to be a larger discussion?
I figured it would just be the two items from the previous meeting.
Okay.
Open it up to citizens to be able to have some input, because I think they probably want to, and just see what kind of dialogue, what kind of common ground we could find between the two different perspectives.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Give us a few minutes, miss. Okay.
This is from Sharon Yeago. We respectfully request the statement be introduced into the record for the above referenced agenda item that was not publicly noticed until 2/9/22. Dear Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and Honorable Commissioners, the unaddressed agenda items from the Heart of High Springs, Inc. before the Commission since January 27th are: number one, approval to install one 13 by 13 historic mural in honor of Mr. Tom Pop Dieterman on the side wall of the restored historic Old School Community Center, where Mr. Dieterman was teacher and principal. Number two, holds public events in a variety of settings to discuss policies and activities regarding murals, art in public places, and to honor historic places, people, and things in order to get the community's input on how to move forward via special event permit application. That is the request to the High Springs City Commission. We would appreciate a vote to move forward with these items tonight so we can continue. This planned effort has received support from the Alachua County Arts Council with funding from Alachua County Tourist Development Council. It has been publicly reported on social media that this matter would be a last-minute addition to tonight's City Commission agenda for the same small group of individuals who overwhelmed the city staff and commission at the last meeting, several of whom are known to me and are not residents either of High Springs or Alachua County, despite receiving equal time for public comment. The group has publicly announced their intention to appear before you this evening. However, earlier this week, reports of threats of potential violence to individuals associated with our group have been received. Coincidentally, during the same period, this proposed last-minute addition to the agenda was promoted by the group prior to its release to the city. While we appreciate Commissioner White's efforts to bring this back before you in a timely fashion and look forward to that discussion, in no way do we associate her request with these malicious actions. However, we cannot condone threats and intimidation as a manner of developing good policy for the city of High Springs. We will support any efforts to have a public workshop in a safe and civil environment in the future and remain open to meet individually with commissioners and staff at any time. The overwhelmingly positive response to the issue of High Springs history and historic preservation has been reassuring. For example, within a short time after a small effort on social media by area residents, including myself, solicited membership for the High Springs Historical Society, they have announced the reopening of the High Springs Museum this coming Saturday and next Saturday for the first time in quite a while. The results can come from difficult circumstances. Party discussion of what it means to preserve our history is very encouraging. The sharing of pictures and stories have been heartwarming and is a treasure trove of information and art. Historic preservation is as important as making the effort to collect the history in order to preserve it. We are willing and ready to work with the city and the community on those goals and many others in a civil and professional manner, and look forward to your upcoming workshop on the matter. The Board of Directors of the Heart of High Springs, Inc. regrets to inform you that we will not participate in your meeting this evening.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
That was a lengthy letter to be read into the meeting, giving us no response because I don't have anything in front of me to really comment on. There's a lot of comments I have to it, but I have nothing in front of me. I'm sorry that she felt it was important to include the letter, but would not meet with us tonight. I guess what we have to do, would you please explain what it is that she wants us to, or they want us to approve tonight?
Question.
Go with your question while we, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I would just like to say, I'll ask concerning this wall dog situation. First of all, who are the donors to the, I understand it's not city money, correct?
Yes, we're not here to discuss that tonight. What we're discussing on the agenda is the workshop. I'm kind of confused myself right now. So
The next question would be, will the citizens of this city be able to attend this workshop?
yes, ma'am, that's the purpose of
Or
it.
is it just for the commission?
No, that's for the citizens.
And it will be announced,
Yes, ma'am.
and it won't be canceled. You know,
I hope not.
it's like, this is a very, 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 very important to my heart. I love this city, and I spent my career with the United States Navy, and this is where I wanted to live. And I am very suspicious of the kind of people I had an 18-year experience of some real rascals in this city, and we got rid of them, thank goodness. So I want to know who is coming in here.
Yes, ma'am. That'll be discussed at the workshop.
So it'll be announced.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I, Angela, can you boil that down to what exactly is the request that Ms. Yeager is making from us tonight? Because I want to make sure that sorry, I just want to make sure.
Okay, let's hold on.
address it.
Let's hold on for a second. Wait a minute. Hold on. Slow the roll. Slow the roll. Madam Attorney, can we put on anything that's not on the agenda?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can we, at this time, can we add something to the agenda to vote on?
Sure, a motion can be made, depending on what you're wanting to vote on. I would advise, it depends on what you're asking to add to the agenda. So if it's something substantial that we want to give the public more notice on, I would say you don't want to vote on something tonight. But if it's to additional information to set a workshop, something like that, that's fine. So administrative stuff, I'm okay adding to the agenda at this point. If it's something substantial, we'd want to wait, have an amended agenda posted, allow citizens to see that and come out so they can have comment on it.
Okay, so because my understanding, she wants to vote on the thing for Mr. Diedemann.
Yeah.
So can we, since it was on the last agenda, if I'm not mistaken.
It was on the last agenda.
It was on the last agenda based on the number of people who have an interest in it, it sounds like. I would recommend that be on an amended agenda rather than be added to tonight's agenda without additional notice to the citizens.
Right.
And we just got that letter today, so there wasn't a lot of time, like the people, I don't know if everyone would have gotten out here in time to talk.
I saw that somewhere. So give.
Yes. I heard this for the first time just now, so I haven't seen it or heard it. But it's my understanding that I think what they're really asking for is that the city look at two separate issues. A potential mural festival or anything in 2023 is not what they've been talking about. What they've been asking for and what was on the last agenda were the two things. The second one being the special event permit to begin engagement with the community about the details, what the community felt was important, and begin that whole process, because there simply aren't answers to what a mural festival in 2023 would potentially look like, because there hasn't been enough input, right down to walls or anything else. That's what happens with the intended launch event and the months moving forward. So to have a discussion about whether or not something should happen in the spring of 2023 will be difficult for the organization, because they haven't been able to engage the community because of COVID and everything else. And that was what they were trying to do with the launch event. So, they're just looking for that opportunity to have that engagement. They want to make the focus on, we want to have a discussion about what we're even talking about versus trying to explain exactly what's going to happen and maybe or maybe not in the spring of 2023.
Mayor.
Yes.
I think your question was a good question, that they're asking for approval of what was discussed at the last meeting. Excuse me. And based on the information we received, no voting would be done in tonight's meeting. Basically, what they're asking for is what they asked for at the last meeting. And we tabled that. This is my opinion. We tabled that and we're going to have a workshop. So I agree with you. I don't think we can add the approval to the agenda that we have right now. Is that correct, Attorney Andrea?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's basically what I'm trying to do. I just want to do things correct.
Yeah.
I just want to do things correct. My goodness, I wasn't in the last meeting.
So were there any dates or anything proposed to you actually?
Well,
'Cause I haven't been involved in any of that discussion.
Well, so there was a discussion on okay, so this was new to me when it came in. I did not know this was going to be a request, and it's hard for me when I get the day up. But all this has transpired in a 2-week time. So everyone's just they're trying to do the best they can do, and we are too. So the event was supposed to be, I think it was the week of the 12th.
Yeah.
Okay. And so in order to do the event, they would need it before then. There was a discussion for preparation, but the more time, the better. So if it was, from what I understand, if you're talking about a bigger scope, then like she had said the 17th, and I think it was actually sometime after the event was better, like if it's a big scope on just like wall dogs, I don't want to get this wrong, because this is all, she's not here. I don't feel comfortable talking on behalf of an organization. Like, this puts me in a weird position, because I could get it wrong and I don't want to. So So I would think based on her request now, because that conversation was had before this was received. If this is what she's wanting now, I would recommend something prior to this date.
Mr. Mayor, is there anything that would preclude us having a workshop next week in between commission meetings? Because I know this is time sensitive and I don't want for them to feel like we don't want to hear what they have to say, but we also need to give all the citizens an opportunity to say what they want to say as well.
We were going to have the CRA meeting, but we can push that. I mean, it's been pushed already, or we could have that another day. So.
It would just be my preference that we convene folks sooner rather than later so that everybody comes with a willing heart and an ability to listen to each other, you know, like adults. So we can all hear each other.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is we need to have a workshop as soon as we can.
I mean,
So what, I ain't got my notes before me with that. When the event was going to take place, March 12th.
That week.
mhm.
Mr. Mayor, I put a calendar up on the screen just for a visual. In front of you is meeting scheduled for the month of February. Giving you an idea. That's the month of March in front of you there.
Yeah, I was going to send out an agenda today for the CRA meeting on the 17th, but I mean, that's something that we can easily move because that's a flexible kind of floating meeting thing.
So small.
I would be agreeable to the 17th.
If the 17th isn't okay, can we give her a second date just because, you know, like the 17th first, and if not, we can do it. I want to give her options since no one's here to represent them.
Right.
Like request first the 17th, they prefer second, you know, another day too. Okay,
22nd.
yeah, because they might want some time to prepare and we don't know what's going on, you know.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
With me. You too.
17th or 22nd. I'm in agreement with that.
Yes, that's fine.
March 17th.
Let me think. Let me think. No, I'm not available.
22nd?
The 17th.
Get home.
The 17th, I'm not.
You were gonna miss our CRA meeting.
Yes, so. Yeah, I haven't got a program plan for that. That night, at 6.
Oh, that is the program night. It sure is.
Mr. Mayor, that's February that we're speaking of. I heard
Yeah.
March.
Yes,
So-
February.
It's February. I'm looking at February.
Well, what about the 15th might be too early for them. It doesn't give them much time to prepare.
Could we ask them? I mean, I feel
Yeah,
they've been
it's hard,
preparing
like, because
for
no one's like
a while.
like, I will ask, but I don't know. Like, if you could just give me direction and give me a couple of dates, then I'll ask and we'll schedule the meeting.
Let's
The 15th and 22nd.
15th and 22nd. Let's see if those work.
Okay.
And
All right.
if they don't, then
2:15
we'll
and
have to,
2:22.
yeah, 2:22 or 2:15.
Do y'all want to have the CRA meeting still on the 17th? That's just a question, because I don't know if y'all, if you want to meet 2 times in a
Yes.
week, because that's a possibility. Okay.
We've done it before.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
I don't mind
I'm
what
fine. I just wanted to make sure. I just didn't know if this.
Hold me down. They're gonna get to you. Hold on. Okay. So
And at 6:30 at the Civic
that's
Center.
Civic Center.
Okay.
Damon, can you make sure the Civic Center is available on both those dates so that no one else takes it?
Or do we, is the Santa Fe room an option? Think that'd be big enough?
Is it bigger? I'll look at space wise.
Oh, either.
Huh?
I mean, either one,
Yeah.
I guess would work.
Okay, Damon, can you like check the Santa Fe and Civic Center for both dates and make sure we have one for both dates, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Come on, Miss Dottie. All right, slow it down. You'll get a speeding ticket.
I've been accused of that. Now, this is just my personal comment. I don't appreciate someone putting you people under an ultimatum with a letter that they didn't even choose to come and appear and talk about. I do not want you, as our commissioners, to feel like you have to succumb to letters like that from whoever without coming to speak to you, without putting our city manager in that kind of position, just getting this information, trying to present it to you. I do not understand your even concern of trying to meet their needs. That's kind of you, but you have tremendous responsibilities to this city. Your plates are already filled. And then for someone just to say, I want this done now, really? Please take the liberty to let people follow responsible procedures when they approach you, not demanding you to do things at their timetables that they wouldn't even come to talk with you about. So I just want you to know I appreciate your schedules and that you do so much. And I just want you to know you do not need to succumb to someone whose letter demands you do something. Now, you had made a decision and announcement to have a workshop. That's going to be what you need to stick with. You owe them no decision until the people of High Springs have had this workshop to become informed. And so thank you for just letting me say that to you. And thank you again for all you do.
So we're going to have the workshop. We're going to sit down and discuss this as sensible, well-educated people, set our personal opinions to the side. I don't like it. It hurts my, now let me finish.
I'm gonna let you finish.
It hurts my heart for us to be going through this kind of battle. So we made the date for look at the 15th and the 22nd to have the workshop. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay.
either one of those days.
Either one of those days. So we're going to have a workshop and we'll sit down and discuss this as intelligent people.
Mayor,
Yes.
this is personal.
We will advertise it. We have to go back and see which date fits their schedule best, the 15th or 22nd. And then when we know when they can come, then it'll be one of those two dates and we will post an agenda on the city website.
The 15th of February or the 22nd. Yes, ma'am.
15th or the 22nd.
A workshop to discuss that.
This is my heart.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on.
Well, no, I would like to make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
That you said that you don't want to make it personal, that you want to talk about it in a professional way, but it is personal to so many people. It's coming from their heart, just like you speak many times on your heart.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on. We're not going to discuss this tonight. We're not discussing it. We'll discuss it at the workshop.
Ashley said we got a speaker.
Change the dates, but is it possible to change it to the 22nd or the 28th? Because if it's the 15th, that barely gives us time to get the message out. That's Tuesday, and we have.
The 22nd is a P&Z meeting. I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't mean to talk over you, Jenny.
I'm running this meeting.
Okay.
All right.
The 22nd or the 28th?
Mayor, I am so sorry. I forgot that the P&Z meeting is the 22nd.
Okay.
Or the plan board meeting.
So the 22nd is not good. Off them here.
Okay, 22 or 28.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. And we need to get everybody a chance to speak on it.
Right, we're going to do it. Let's do it the right way.
So we good, Jenny? The dates?
I don't know what dates are.
But see, we don't know about that group though, if that's good for them.
That's right.
And I don't need to come on I can do the P&Z meeting and not come or have Christy do the P&Z meeting. If you want me to come and just kind of throw that out there.
How,
Yeah.
How about you? Ashley, can you reach out potentially to Sharon tonight and see whether the 15th or the 22nd will work with a preference for the 22nd?
Okay.
And see if we can get a response within the next, 12, 14 hours.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we good, Jenny? All right. Okay, so we're moving on to citizen attorney report and updates.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, we did have someone who raised their hand.
Okay.
With regards to item number 10.
Does it discuss the workshop?
I believe so. That's when the hand came up on Zoom.
Okay, if it discuss the workshop, we're not discussing Waldo.
I believe so. Ms. Alice Brown, you're on with the commission. You have 3 minutes if it pertains to item number 10, discussing the workshop. Time starts now.
Thank you. I've been in pretty close contact with Sharon Yago, and as far as I know, they're ready to have this meeting so that they can move forward. I would like to propose that you guys actually give us a date tonight, but I realize that if you don't know whether the Civic Center or the Santa Fe room will be available, that could be problematic. But we were really looking forward to getting a date tonight, and we didn't want it to be held. We didn't want the date of the workshop to be held up the way it seems like it's being right now. We didn't want it to, I'm so sorry, we didn't want it to be held up for the reason that there wasn't anybody here to speak on. They're very ready to present this. I know they are. And a lot of people who are opposed to it are also quite ready to have this workshop to know the date. I would like to ask you if there's any way that you would go ahead and pick one of these dates, but I understand that you don't know if the rooms will be open. Also, I read the rules today. It did say in the rules that a letter that wants to be read at the committee meeting has to arrive on the Wednesday before the meeting. So I'm really
I didn't know
that you guys did that tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for hearing me.
Welcome. No, not that Alice. Not that Alice. Her name Alice Williams. Alice Brown Williams. I'm gonna clear that one up. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Is that it, Kevin? Okay. All right, let's move on to the city attorney's report and update.
Nothing from me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. City manager?
Damon Messina, Parks Director. I have him and another staff member.
Just wanted to discuss about the Children's Trust, which was here earlier. They helped support and, in other words, provide all the money for 2 seasons for the robotic swamp botch program. This is our 2nd season, and just to let everyone know that they're now going to the regionals. They've came 3rd in the qualifiers out of 32 teams just this past weekend in Palaca, and they'll be in, I believe, 2 weeks. They will be going to Ocala to continue on with their endeavors and hoping they could continue on as they go from there. So just some positive things coming from, with the Children's Trust, which has played a very vital role in helping us out, as well as the Good News Art Camp, which we've done too. And they do a lot. So we just wanted to present that. There's some photos here if you guys would like to look at that. It's kids just aging, the age groups is from 4th grade to 8th grade. Our own chief, Bruce Gillingham, is one of the coaches who helps out, a gentleman by the name of Jason Sweat, who's played a very big role in Santa Fe Babe Ruth baseball over the years, who volunteers his time to do this. And this was all done by the advisory board. the Recreation Advisory Board was adamant about this program, and it seems to be taking off, and it's grabbing some legs, and we're very fortunate. We work in combined with the city of Alachua as well, so we partner with them so we get some of their kids. As long as the kids live in Alachua County, this program is 100% free. And we're very excited about that. Any questions? Anything? Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
We also wanted to recognize a life-saving event, and I have Andy with the fire department.
Recently,
I guess
Chief Shepherd recently received a contact from a family member of a follow-up on an incident where we had a local resident suffer a severe medical emergency, which ultimately resulted in going into cardiac arrest. Fortunately for him, it was witnessed by his wife, who also, I believe, happens to be a first responder and has some medical training. She initiated CPR immediately after calling 911, and we were dispatched to it as a cardiac arrest. The event happened within the last week. I don't have all the details. I just got the email notification that at 4 p.m. Okay, February 4th at 4 p.m. So just this Saturday, right? Right. In any event, our crews from the fire department responded to what was reported of cardiac arrest. They arrived on scene to find not one or two, but three of the High Springs Police Department personnel there, all administering CPR as well as utilizing an AED. We all know that that is key to a high success rate in a cardiac arrest patient. There's a ton of algorithms and studies and stuff like that I won't bore you with the intention of being brief today, that state that with every minute that goes by with inappropriate CPR, let alone a lack of CPR, the outcome probability for a quality of life return to home diminishes rapidly. So rapid CPR was initiated very quickly. They recognized with utilizing their AED that he was in what we call a shockable rhythm. So he's in what we would consider to be a survivable rhythm, provided other appropriate measures are taken. The officers were able to, I believe, initiate 3 shocks, which I've been doing this a long time. A lot of times, once you get beyond even 1 and 2, again, like I said, this algorithm is a declining one. The chance of somebody surviving after that many shocks just continues to degrade. I've been witness to the officers' efforts at CPR. It is rigorous. It's enthusiastic, as you would expect any one of ours are. So I understand from the email, and it's interesting because I don't have contact with this individual, and it's sort of been a buzz. Kevin and I spoke about when it might be appropriate to reach out to this individual or somebody that may know him and say, we would like some information. I would like this to be a good outcome. I don't know what the outcome is, and until I know completely, absolutely the outcome is going to be, he's going to return home, hopefully no neurological deficits, no, long-term issues. I would like to reach out to them, and this is something that's very, very exciting. It's very exciting for me being one of the ALS providers here, but it's even more exciting that it was initiated by the rapid response of law enforcement, and it was only followed up by our ALS efforts. And I'll sort of close that again, because I don't have the details, but I hadn't have a chance to pull the records. But one of the details that I do recall from the incident is the first arriving unit from the time of the 911 call was 4 minutes. 4 minutes. So was that yours or mine? I actually think it was mine. So because that's the information that I have. At the time that it's appropriate, because I believe we're going to follow this up with a more detailed, actually, I believe it's possibly a ceremony. Is that correct?
Yes, and I spoke to the wife, and he was doing very well today, a little bit before the commission meeting.
Excellent.
And that we are in the preliminary stages of giving those 2 officers, which are Sergeant Shank and Officer Clark, and Officer Nadarcy had a intimate portion into the situation with a life-saving award, and we're tentatively going to do that for the March 10th commission meeting.
There you go. So it's always a positive thing when the family reached out to us. The email that they got, did they have an opportunity to see the email?
Basically, it just consists of paragraphs of praise and accolades towards the law enforcement officers, which was well deserved. Well deserved.
Being here for the March 10th, which is her 60th birthday. So
Who's 60th?
the wife of the
Outstanding. I can tell you, I've been doing this job a long time. We don't get a lot of these. In spite of our best efforts, we don't get them. There's too many variables, too many factors that are always working against us. It's a clock ticking against us. So, not to take any of the accolades away from them. It was a combined effort. It was initiated by them, was followed up by our ALS, which you guys, initiated 2 years ago, now going on 3 years ago. So, and then the follow-on care, because from what I understand, the rescue that was coming wasn't the one that was right here, which we'll probably see got something going on. It was one that came from farther away. So response time is 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So it was definitely a combined effort. Happy to report on it. I'm actually really excited because I got the email at 5:30 when you got to be kidding me. I've been trying to get information. So not to belabor the issue, it looks like we already have something planned for that. Well deserved. The She may not have had a part in the CPR, but I can assure you she had a key role in maintaining the scene, maintaining the composure of the family, which for us as responders is extremely helpful. If we're not having to deal with that, it allows us to be more laser focused on what we do. Not that you'd expect us to be anything less than that. So assuming you have no questions, I'm looking forward to that event where we have that and we can give you some follow-on specifics on some of the details if it's necessary. But I think at this point, all we need to know is he's going to survive. One of our local residents is going to survive a critical incident. And it's that simple. So,
Mr. Mayor, I had an opportunity to speak to the wife today too, two separate occasions, and she called into the fire station. We spoke at length for almost 30 minutes. To the point that she was at tears. She was so complimentary of the services that she received from the High Springs Police and Fire Department. And I think, she spoke to the testament for a municipality of the size to have both services available and with how quickly that they were there. And she said that hands down, that was the best experience that she's ever had. And she wanted everyone to know how appreciative she was. She called out the officers by name that she remembered, Officer Nodarcy and Firefighter Wooten, who kind of made sure that she was in the right mind space at the time, allowing the other crews to work. And she is just, again, forever thankful for the efforts of the men and women that worked that day.
Thank you.
I would like to speak to that.
I yield the floor.
I would like to compliment our fire department. Last Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, I passed out in my bathroom. Don't know why, just passed out. I have a life alert and I pushed the button and they were there within probably 5 minutes. They were so professional. I went to North Florida Hospital and I was there for 4 days. I'm doing real well now. Had several medical problems, and but the fire department was they were just so kind, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for the kind words. Okay. Before we move on to, you finished?
Oh,
You good?
yeah.
Okay. Before we move on, I got a note here that the Civic Center in the Jenny Spring Room is available for all 3 dates. That's the 15th, the 22nd, and the 28th. So we can go and make a date tonight.
But we haven't talked to Sharon yet.
I don't know what to say, but from the person that just called in, it seemed to me like, the sooner the better is what I got from that. I don't know what y'all got.
I'm fine.
Then can we just set it for the 15th and then obviously reschedule if that doesn't work for them?
Sounds good.
Yeah. As far as rescheduling, we would need to know what date you want to reschedule to.
The 22nd.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Wise, you have anything?
With the alternate being the 22nd.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to thank Ashley for taking us to Tallahassee. I can assure everybody here that she is looking out for your bottom line. She had Keith Perry and Chuck Clemens shaking in their shoes, asking them all kinds of really specific questions about what they were planning on doing and how it's going to impact our finances. And I was really grateful. And Chief, I wanted to let you know that Bricks was a very good boy. Last Tuesday at the Criminal Justice Open House, Bricks did his thing. I mean, his human partner was pretty good too, but Bricks was a really good boy. He made High Springs PD look really good. I was there in person. It was something.
I've just got a couple quick things in what Damon said about the swamp bots. A lot of times when people hear about a robotics team and they're doing well and everything, you know, they think about just the robotics, but the program that has been brought to High Springs is a lot more than robotics. To win third place, the robotics portion of it is probably only 20 to 30% of what they're judged on. They operate on what's called a group of core values, which include teamwork, inclusion, discovery, taking what they've learned to have impact in their community and their daily life, to be fun, but also have gracious professionalism. So they're actually judged from the time they arrive. The judges are watching how they interact with the other teams, how they interact with each other, how they problem solve. So it's really a great program that's not just about, you know, whether they can build a robot or not.
Great.
So I'm glad we're doing that. And thank you. And the other part is the Frozen Foot is Saturday. I will be in a workshop, but you could get one of these wonderfully colorful T-shirts that David Sutton used his pink to pick out.
He did.
And this is actually an event where you can actually get a participation medal. Nice and heavy and what have you. So if you're available, they'll do signups the morning of the event. It starts at the Civic Center. You can walk it, you can jog it, you can run it, you can walk with your baby in a stroller or take your dog, because people do that. So it's a good time. So I encourage anyone that's interested to go ahead and support the Parks Department and have a little fun. And that's what I have.
To expound upon that, Linda Hewlett and I will be at our normal table to hand out water. So that will be my participation in it. The other thing I don't know how many people were able to participate in the Women's Club spaghetti dinner, but I went the other night and picked up a dinner, and when I got home, I was just amazed. In one little box, there was the spaghetti with a foil underneath it to keep it nice and warm. Then you have a bigger box and it's got the salad there, and you've got a buttered roll, and then you've got the wonderful desserts that they provide. And I just felt so special. Like, yeah, people usually just put things in a box and hand it to you, but they really do such a good job. And the two people who were here before didn't know I was going to say that, and I'm sorry they've already left, but I will make sure that they understand if you get a chance. Of course, anything they do is generally very good, but it just felt so special with the spaghetti dinner. That's all I have. The Women's Club. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have anything to know.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I just want to say the farm share was a success. I forgot how many we fed. How many fed, Kevin? Was it?
You had 508 total, and then the vice mayor and the city manager made 4 deliveries otherwise. So 512.
And I would like to mention, I got in trouble and I had to go get in a line when I was trying to get the food for the 4 families. Because you were supposed to get in line to get the food for the families.
They did that to our city manager.
Yes.
She didn't know who she was.
A hardcore.
But your city manager ran around town with me to help me deliver them though. Yes, you did.
With that,
There's another. Alice Brown has her hand up again about the workshop.
okay.
Might be from before that she didn't lower her hand.
Mr. Mayor, I think it was just, I saw a message pop up. She wanted to announce the time and place of the workshop. So I thought maybe one time for everyone to hear would be appropriate.
Okay.
There was a new hand. I can bring her in if you like.
Yes, please, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have you decided on a room then, since they're both available, so that we can publicize the time? Is that at 6:30 p.m. in the Santa Fe room on the 15th?
Oh, let me ask a question for Damon. How many does Santa Fe room hold? In the Civic Center?
140, 150
parking spots. That's what I was thinking.
Civic
too.
Center's 140, 150.
Yeah, I think the Civic Center better. The parking is better, and does everybody agree with that?
Yeah, it's available. So.
Yeah.
At
Civic-
6:30?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 6:30 p.m. the Civic Center on the 15th, and if it's canceled on the 22nd.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's at the Civic Center, the 15th, February the 15th at 6:30. If that day is not good for the other group, we'll do it on the 22nd, same place at 6:30.
We have the 22nd at 6:30 and the 15th at 6:30.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Would you like a motion to adjourn?
No. I did not stay here. So with that being said about that incident, maybe in the near future, we can control it. All they do is just drop the food off and we do everything.
Oh, okay. It was fun. I
Okay.
enjoy it.
Well, they're trying to get groom us to take it over.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But that's something to think
I
about.
just thought it was funny.
Yeah. We can end up taking it over and have it when we want to have it. They just bring the food.
All right.
Okay. Another thing I have is Santa Fe High School. We talk about when the football, basketball team do well, baseball team, but the debate team did a wonderful job. On the 15th of February, we had 3 young people to come in first place.
Awesome.
First place, and now they go into the February the 5th. That was on February the 5th.
Okay, you say 15.
I'm sorry, 15th on my mind.
Okay, that's all right.
So the 3 that finished first place in public speaking will go on to the varsity state championship on March the 5th and the 6th.
Wow.
So that's wonderful. And the debate coach was named Coach of the Year at Santa Fe High School.
All right.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Marta Watson, he live right down the street down here. Yeah. And I think that's wonderful. First place, they had a couple of kids come in second place and a couple of kids come in third place. That's wonderful, y'all. Yeah. I just wanted to highlight that. Our kids are doing great up there at Santa Fe High School. I entertain a motion. Uh-oh. Okay, yes, ma'am.
My name is Emma Berner, and I represent the women's club. And if I can make a little comment, I'm eternally grateful for these lovely comments that you said about our spaghetti dinners. And I invite you all to March spaghetti dinners, and I will be happy to convey it to Carol Tate and the crew tomorrow. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
One thing is that we're going to start putting some events like the spaghetti dinner on our upcoming newsletter. So when you have that information, if you could pass it along to Kevin, we'll make sure that it gets on our future newsletters. Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
way I understand it, they're gonna do it every month on the first Monday.
Okay, great. Great. All right. I entertain a motion to adjourn now, Mr. Ambrose.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.